Okay, we should be live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cobwebs channel, the live show here on Cobwebs. I am taking a look at the chat right now, just seeing who is here. But thank you so much for popping in. I haven't actually done a live stream here on this channel since I believe it was October 1st, or it might have been the day before October 1st, but we were sort of welcoming in the Halloween season. And yes, it has been that long because I've done several streams on like collaborations on other people's channels, but I thought it was time to do one here for a few reasons. So the purpose of this stream is one, to celebrate that this channel hit 50,000 subscribers, I believe, on Friday, which is just pretty mind-blowing. I thank you guys so much for making that happen. You guys are the best. To answer your questions, it's probably going to be like a Q&A stream. That's kind of what we're doing here. And I want to talk a little bit about my 2025 goals, which I think, to be honest with you, is a little bit less goals than plans, but kind of just want to talk to you about what I'm planning for this channel in 2025. So I'm going to take a look over at the chat, see who's here. Now, I can see from the numbers that we've got 32 people in here already, which is absolutely crazy. Thank you guys so much for that. And yeah, just go ahead and say hi in the chat so I can say hi to you, and we'll get this party started. If you have any questions off the top of your head, feel free to throw them in. We can just get started on that right away. But your first time here, my name is Daniel, by the way. I don't think I ever even said that. But yeah, let's take a look what's going on. So Richard, hello, Richard. Thank you so much for popping in. Movies you might love: Luck of the Irish or Alias Nick Beale. I've not seen Luck of the Irish, but I've definitely seen Alias Nick Beale. That is a really good noir film that's a little bit tinged with horror, and you kind of figure that out more as the movie goes. Very good Ray Milland performance in there. So yeah, I really like Alias Nick Beale. I actually have the Kino Lorber Blu-ray right back there. Good shout out. We have got Ben in here. Ben is one of my longest supporters, maybe my longest supporter ever. The most consistent person I see in the comment section on live stream. So thank you so much, Ben. For the celebratory 50K meal, I'm eating a 3-course meal. Let's see. You got TGI Friday and mozzarella sticks with marinara sauce. My wife would very much support that. Me, I'm not really a mozzarella sticks guy, but I can respect it. And I'm guessing you're going to put the other courses a little bit later in the stream. So we'll hang on for that. We got Paloma. Congrats on 50K. Well deserved. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. Tim, hello, Tim. Thank you for stopping in. My wife and I want to congratulate you on the 50,000 subscriber milestone. We enjoy all the videos on your channel. Thank you so much. That means the world. I really, really appreciate it. We got Anthony. Congrats, saying congratulations. Thank you. And I like the Bella Lugosi in your picture there. I can see that. That's great. We got Rich. Congratulations. Woohoo. Hello, Rich. Thank you so much for popping in. Jaden, thank you so much. Jaden's another longtime supporter of a lot of channels in this space, talking physical media and old movies. So definitely appreciate you, Jaden. The Inertia channel, I believe, is what that word is. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Bonnie, thank you. Hello, hello. L.A. Jewel. Now that just sounds like the name of like a detective on like a 1980s TV show or something. We got L.A. Jewel on the case. Love it. Thank you so much for the congrats. Horror Gang, another longtime supporter, familiar face around here. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that, man. Horror Gang has his own YouTube channel, by the way, so you can check that out. James Yule, thank you so much. Catnit, aka Mary B. Howdy. Hello, hello. So good to have you in here. Ooh, this is interesting. Periel Rising. I want to say that's what it is. Hello, hello. Good to see you here. Wait. Pull out all the stops. We have got the United States government on the stream. What TV would you recommend for viewing 4K and Blu-ray films? You know what? I'm really not the person to answer that question. I'm not a super technical person. I mean, I love physical media, but like, you know, I'm not really knowledgeable on the tech, what kind of player you should get, what kind of TV. I mean, I have a 4K player, 4K TV, but you know, I don't know that it's the best or anything. In fact, I don't think it is. Like, it's not an OLED. Everybody says OLED is the best for viewing 4K. And I don't know. I don't know about that firsthand, but that's what everybody says. So people that would be really good, I would suggest like asking Chase over at AVA Pop Culture, good YouTube channel. He's really good with that technical stuff. I think Ken over at Mid-Level Media is as well. So there's some much better people to answer that. Probably not me. Joan, hello, another very familiar face. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And Kathy, good to see you here as well. Oh, you're welcome. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Lori, hello from Tallahassee, Florida. Very, very cool. I bet it's a lot warmer over there than it is here. It was like a high of 18 degrees where I live. I don't think I sat outside all day or stepped outside all day. Just absolutely freezing. It's still cold. I'm down here in my basement. I got this warm shirt and it's keeping me warm except for my hands. I'm still kind of chilly. Jane, congratulations. Thank you so much. Mary B, adding to your watch list from your videos. You know what's funny is that still kind of blows my mind that people do that, which is weird to say because I make so many videos where like you would think the point of them is recommendation, trying to get other people to watch them. And that's true, but I kind of just think of them as like I'm talking about movies I've watched and movies that I like. And the fact that people take those as recommendations and then go watch the movies, I'm very honored. That just kind of blows my mind, to be honest. And like more and more lately, like recently, more people have been saying that. And it seems like a lot of people are enjoying the recommendations, which is good. Not always. Sometimes people don't, but that's all good. You know, we've got Stygian Arts. Stygian Arts. I always like try to pronounce things, to be honest. Like sometimes people say like, oh, I'm not even going to try that. But I kind of think when you do that, I don't know, you deny that person a shout out when maybe they would like a shout out. So I try to pronounce these things, even if I don't know exactly how to do it. But Stygian Arts, I'm going to say, greetings. Thank you so much for popping in. Christian, how often do you reorganize, dust off your collection? You know, I kind of did just recently, actually, because for Christmas, I got a rotating shelf, a rotating Blu-ray shelf. My parents gave it to me, which I absolutely love. It's so great because I had run out of room and my collection was then overflowing into the guest room, which is right over here. So I needed more space, and yeah, I asked for a rotating shelf for Christmas. My parents got it for me, and I love it. I think it looks so good in the corner over here. I should post a picture of it on Instagram. And I moved my Arrow Video stuff over there, my Vestrons over there, my kids' movies, and then from like the late S's down to Z on to just the standard ones. They're all over there now. So I just recently did that, to be honest. I do enjoy a good collection reorganization, honestly. It's a good time. It's relaxing. Brian, congrats, and thanks for covering the classic, not so classic Hammer films. You were kind of harsh on Satanic Rites, though. Yeah, this is a weird day to do this stream, to be honest, because I feel like I bummed people out today with the Satanic Rites video. And I didn't realize I was going to, because I've always had the impression that was like one of the most hated Hammer films. Like it always seems like it has a horrible reputation. And I thought I was kind of nice to it because I didn't disparage everything. There are things about that movie I like and things about that movie I praised. And, you know, I think my ultimate take on it is it has a lot of really good ideas. It's just not very well done. It's not very well written, and it's certainly not well directed. Even though there's good stuff in there. But yeah, a lot of people love that movie. I seem to have made some people sad, and that I have mixed feelings about this Hammer Dracula series, and I almost wonder if doing it was a mistake because I had so much fun with the first few movies because I love the first few movies. I love the first 5, and then it's been 3 in a row. The movies I don't really like. Scars, 1972, and Satanic Rites. I think I like Satanic Rites the most out of all of those 3, to be honest. But yeah, some people are bummed out that I don't love those movies, and I don't mean to bum people out, so it's a little sad. Stygian Arts, just recently found your channel, been binge watching it, found so many great new classic horror movies. That's great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. We got Brian from Last Movie Standing. Thank you so much, Brian. Really, really appreciate that. Leslie, never comment, but I've watched and loved all your videos. Congratulations on meeting a new sub milestone. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. And you should comment more often. I would love to hear from you. Of course, you don't have to. Feel free to lurk. Let's see. Tattoo You. I almost want, I don't know. Like, okay, my tattoo shop in town where I've got my tattoos is called Tattoo You. So I was like, and I know my tattoo artist watches this channel, but that's not his picture. So I was a little curious I was a little confused for a second. Congratulations, so awesome. Check out Night Must Fall with Robert Montgomery and Rosalind Russell and Bad Seed Original. I have not seen Night Must Fall. I don't think I'm familiar with it. I've seen part of the Bad Seed, but yeah, that's one that I meant to watch before I made my top 30 60s horror movies video, and I just didn't get to it. So I do need to finish that movie. Watch it in entirety, that is. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Danielle. Can't wait for what's next in 2025. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. We got 94 people in here. That's absolutely crazy. Love the channel. Congratulations. I posted a few months ago during your 70s horror review. What's your take on Bob Clark's Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things? Yeah, I think that movie is going to be a big topic of conversation in my comment section this week. Actually, not because I'm discussing it, but because it's not in a certain video. I've seen it once. I really didn't like it. Really didn't like it. I thought like the end of it, when the zombie stuff is really kicking in, is quite good because those zombies are terrifying looking. They are so grotesque. And I thought that's really cool. But like almost the whole movie is listening to an incredibly pretentious, artsy college student monologue about his incredibly pretentious, obnoxious philosophies. That's my memory, at least, because it's about art students. And the movie is kind of a satire on like, aren't art students so pretentious and annoying? And that seems to be like the point of the movie. But yeah, the characters are just unbelievably annoying, especially that main guy. So I was really annoyed by most of the film. But then at the end, it's got some really good zombie stuff for sure. But I do have a zombie related video that I will be talking about a little bit later when I get into my goals and such. But Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things is not on there, and I think some people are going to be upset. That's another one that like I didn't think that movie had a good reputation when I first watched it. It didn't seem like it was like a classic or anything. But in my comment section, a lot of people seem to be a big fan of it. It was the big topic in discussion in the comments of my graveyard horror video. A lot of people were like, "Where's Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things?" And I was a little surprised that people were expecting it. So it's interesting. So yeah, not a big fan. I say that like maybe I should give it a second chance, but like I really don't feel like it. But maybe one of these days. Thank you, Mary. I appreciate that. Joan, minus 11 here in Canada, going down to minus 17 Celsius next 2 days. Yeah, I used to think I was more of a winter person. I don't know that I am. I haven't been feeling like a winter person because I have been a little sick, which people commented on that on my Wolfman review. That was a particularly worse day than usual in terms of the sinuses. But I've been a little sick for like a couple of weeks now. I think the cold weather's got me down. My hands are drying up. Not loving the winter this year. I love Christmas, but I'm not sure that I love winter as much as I thought I did. Ooh, here we go. Syngian Arts. Okay, cool. Thank you. Syngian Arts. Awesome. Oh, wait. Oh, we got a correction here. Stygian Arts. Awesome. Love it. Wander This World. I love following Daniel's letterbox. Like somebody seems random and that pops up in a list video. Yeah. I've gotten to the point where like most of what I watch at this point is like specifically for a video. That's one reason you haven't seen like a watch list video in a little while, because I'm like, man, I talk about almost everything in list videos now. There's not much left. But I do have some movies that I watched this month that haven't been for videos. So I'm still undecided if I'm going to do a January watch list video. Some people seem to like them. Some people are vocal that they don't like them. So I'm not sure what to do with that series at this point. Beverly, love your channel. Greetings from Los Angeles. Well, I certainly hope you're safe. Yeah, I see those emojis there. I know exactly what you're talking about. Scary stuff over there. Yeah, all the good vibes going out to you. I hope you're doing okay and your family and loved ones are as well. Okay, that's sort of how it sounds. All right, I guess I'll take that. Mary, there's so many that have been made. It's easy to miss a good one. I'm disabled and going to the theater is a bit of a production. Yeah, I hear you. I have a toddler at home, so going to the theater is tougher than it used to be. Obviously, that's not the same thing, but I hear you. Going to the theater can be tough sometimes. Yeah, United States government asking, do you have any thoughts on David Lynch's passing? I mean, my thoughts are it's very sad. It was very unexpected for me. I looked into it later, and apparently he has been sick for a while. I didn't know that. I haven't been paying attention to that. He's like one of those constants in film communities that I just never expected to lose. It's kind of like you never expect we're going to lose Steven Spielberg. You know, like it's unfathomable that Steven Spielberg might not be in the world one day. I mean, will not be in the world one day, but it's hard to imagine that happening. And David Lynch was kind of like that for me, where it's like, David Lynch? I thought that was just crazy. Very, very sad. I love David Lynch. He's not, I wouldn't say he's like one of my favorite directors, but a lot of his movies like Blue Velvet, Mulholland Drive, I'd say is probably my favorite. That is just one of the most fascinating, trippy, weirdo movies I've ever seen. I thought it's so great. Wild at Heart, really, really good. I love Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern in that movie. And I know I'm forgetting another. Lost Highway is one of the scariest movies I've ever seen in my life. There is one shot in Lost Highway chilled me like almost nothing else I've ever seen has. Like, and I've only seen the movie once. I haven't gone back to it. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites as a whole, although I do like it. It's super weird. Bill Pullman, Robert Loggia. I do think it's a very good movie. It's very, very scary. So yeah, a lot of good David Lynch films. I haven't seen them all. I've never seen The Elephant Man. That's one that I've always been kind of scared to watch, not because it's like scary by reputation, but because its reputation is that it's so depressing and it's so emotional. I've been kind of like putting it off. I was like fascinated by elephantitis when I was a kid and like kind of scared of it, which is almost like a terrible thing to say because, you know, it's a legitimate disease, but it was like this point of fascination for me as a kid. So it's always been like The Elephant Man has always been a movie in my peripheral that like one day I'll watch that, but I still haven't, but I should. Haven't seen Dune. I haven't even seen Dune Part 2, like the new one. So I haven't seen a whole lot of Dune. But yeah, David Lynch, very, very sad to miss him for sure. But he's a legend and like he will be remembered forever. And you can't say that about that many directors. Like I don't think he will ever go out of style. I don't think people will ever stop watching or talking or thinking about his movies. And that doesn't always happen with directors the same way. Like with artists, you know, like art. You know, their stuff goes up in value and popularity when they pass away. So they say. That's what I hear. I'm not an expert on the art scene. That's not always the case with films because like there are a lot of directors, they pass away and people just kind of forget about their movies. But that will never, ever happen with David Lynch for sure. Let's see. Under Area 51, off topic. Everyone should try the Journal RPX game. Interesting. I've never heard of this. I don't think I've ever played an RPG game. Danielle, movie rec featuring Peter Cushing, Cash on Demand. I love Cash on Demand. It is a fantastic. I would say it's my favorite Hammer thriller. Although very close with Never Take Sweets from a Stranger, but it's those two. I did a video last Christmas, not this last Christmas, but the last Christmas before on my top 10 black and white Christmas movies. Cash on Demand was definitely on there. It's a great film. Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely not my tattoo shop then. Keep Hammer video stuff brewing. There's one Hammer film, it's not part of a franchise, that I do really want to do an in-depth review on. One that I'll be much more positive on, Satanic Rites, but a video that we're like, I think there's a lot of really interesting things to talk about. So I will do that at some point this year. Anthony, have you ever seen the Fu Manchu films, Boris Karloff and Christopher Lee? I actually haven't. Warner Archive just put out one of the Fu Manchu films with Karloff out on Blu-ray, and I want it. But man, Warner Archive, I built up my Warner Archive collection based on their 4 for $44 sales. If you've been around the physical media space for a few years, you would know Warner Archive used to do these regular sales, 4 for $44. It was awesome. I have a big Warner Archive collection because of those sales, but now you don't get those anymore. And like they almost never go down in price. They're always like $25. And they shouldn't be because they have barely any special features and they don't like packaging and fancy packaging or anything. They're just basic Blu-rays. They should go down a lot, but they're not. And so I'm backed up on a lot of Warner Archive stuff I want that I haven't pulled the trigger on because man, it's just never going down in price. But anyway, that's kind of an aside. I've not seen any Fu Manchu films and I probably should. Thank you, Jane. I appreciate it. It seems like they're getting more controversial, I guess, as they go and making people sad. And that bums me out because like I thought I had a lot of fun with the Satanic Rites video and I thought it was a fun video. And it's not a terribly interesting movie. It has a lot of downtime, but I thought I found a way to like keep it kind of fresh and fun talking about it. But yeah, a lot of people aren't happy with it, but oh well. Kendall, congratulations on the subs. You got me looking into more foreign language horror. That's great. Yeah, I've gotten to the point now where like I love foreign language films, and subtitles make no difference to me. I always say, like, I know some, and by the way, this doesn't apply if you have any kind of visual disability, but some people say like, oh, they can't do subtitles. They don't like subtitles. I really think it's a muscle, and you just have to watch more, and you will get to the point where it makes no difference to you anymore. And I finally got there because I used to struggle with subtitles, and you just got to keep doing it, and you'll get used to it, and it'll be like nothing. So yeah, I'm glad you're getting more into that stuff. That's awesome. Oh, thank you, Leslie. I appreciate it. I always forget to say stuff like that, but yeah, hit the like button. That'd be great. We got 132 people in here. Mind blowing. Thank you all for stopping in. Oh, good. You blind bought the Devonsville Tear. Man, that movie is good. Like that movie like shocked me. Like it's just another Vinegar Syndrome schlocky 80s B movie that I'd never heard of that I picked up, watched it, and I was like, this is like a legitimately great film. And like no one ever talks about it. So I'm so glad you picked it up. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, or at least close. Ben, let's see. Random fact: during an Ariana Grande and Paul Mescal interview with Variety, Ariana suddenly stopped talking about her love for horror movies. Oh, that's great. I've seen some clips from her press tour for Wicked, and her and the actress who play Elphaba, they just seem like the closest BFFs ever, and like they're very interesting to watch together. That's like the extent of my Ariana Grande knowledge, except for Santa Tell Me, the Christmas song. Everybody knows that song. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate under Area 51. Very nice of you to say. First two Christopher Fu Manchu films are quite fun, actually good. Cool. Awesome. I did see, so I have that Mill Creek 30 Hammer Film Collection Blu-ray back there, and I watched through all that. And there are like some Fu Manchu-like films. Like I think one is called like Terror from Bombay or something like that, but they're not actually Fu Manchu films. So yeah, that's interesting. Late Night with the Devil and Long Legs, great choices. Long Legs is my second favorite, and Late Night with the Devil is, like I said in my ranking, it wasn't super as high on my ranking as for other people, but I think it's one I'll rewatch more than most because it's just such a cozy atmosphere of a movie. It's just a very pleasant movie to watch. Thank you. I very much appreciate it. And thank you for stopping in. I thought of any kaiju content for your channel, like discussing Godzilla, Kong, Gamera films. Maybe one day. I'm just not the biggest kaiju person. Like I'm kind of one of those people where like I like the big ones, I like the classics. I would say my favorite in all of that is the original King Kong from 33. Absolutely love King Kong, and that would be like, that'd be a very cool movie to do a dedicated review on, but also very intimidating because it's like one of the most documented, discussed films in horror history. And I do love King Kong. Love the original Godzilla. Not quite as much, but also that one. But when I was a kid, I was really into Godzilla movies, and I watched them all the time. But that love didn't really follow me into adulthood like the Universal Monsters love did. Never lost it for Universal Monsters, but I kind of did for Godzilla. And I did go back and watch like 3 of the old ones where he like fights other monsters, like Ibera Horror of the Deep and Godzilla versus Mothra. Watch those, and like they're fun, they're fine, but like they're not super my thing. So I don't think kaiju films are like really my thing, but that could totally change. Taste change, and like I could get super into them in a couple of years. You just never know. I was very surprised too, Kate, that I didn't like The Devil's Bath. I fully expected to love it. It just really seemed like my thing. It seemed like it was gonna be really interesting, and I do think the ideas are very interesting. Yeah, I didn't really buy into the script, which was a bummer for me. So I wish I liked it more. I really, really did, because I know a lot of other people loved it. Thank you. Mysterious Unknown revealed, another very familiar face around here. Thank you. And Matt Draper got an incredible, super successful channel. So thank you so much, Matt, for dropping in. Let's see. Never be afraid to bump people off not liking a movie. Even negative reviews are really fun and positive. Yeah, being afraid of that's like never going to stop me from being honest in a video, because like as like my dad has told me, I'm kind of honest to a fault. So I can't really hide how I feel about things. It just shows on my face. Even though I will still get accused of lying about movies often. Like if you like a new movie and people say, "Oh, you were paid to like this," as if anyone cares. Any studio exec cares what I say about a movie on my YouTube channel. It's funny, but yeah, but I admit I have thought like I almost wish I didn't start this Dracula series, because I wish I was happier when I was posting a video. I wasn't seeing people like, like I had somebody comment on the Satanic Rites video and say like, "Well, this clearly isn't your kind of movie. You should just watch Ghoulies." And I'm like, I don't know how many videos I have to do where I praise like old classic films and Hammer films before people accept that like, yeah, it is my kind of movie, but just because something is my kind of movie does not mean it's automatically great, and doesn't mean it's above criticism. I think like if there's a kind of movie and you just love all of it no matter what, then like maybe you're not really thinking about those movies that deeply, and that's okay. But like when you run a YouTube channel and you have to discuss these films, and like you spend 20 minutes discussing it like I do with these reviews, you have to think about it. So, but then there were people that were like coming to my rescue in that guy's replies, so I appreciated that. But thank you, Matt. I think I try to keep them fun. Like I had one, I was on the Dracula 1972 review and thought like I was being too like snarky to the movie. But the thing is, like, if I'm doing a negative review, I got to make jokes, you know, otherwise it's just me sitting there complaining. And who wants to watch that? So you got to crack some jokes and keep it light, keep it fun. So it's not just a complain fest, you know. And I would say of those three Dracula films, Scars, 72, Satanic Rites, the only one I truly dislike is 1972, which I know is a lot of people's favorite. I get that. It's totally cool. I think that's the only one that like, I don't like that movie. Satanic Rites and Scars, I think there's good stuff in there. I don't hate them for sure. I just think they're a big step down from the previous. Anyway, probably spent too much time on that. Pretty privileged fondue. Love that. That's fun. Found you in some best movies for autumn vibes was recommended. Love your unique list, specific list. Something wicked this way comes as a new autumnal fave. Great. That's wonderful to hear. Thank you so much. Yeah, I love making those ultra specific lists. They're very fun. Have you considered doing top 10 videos of actors' best films? Yes, absolutely. I would like to do that. Just haven't gotten to it yet. I know when I do that for Vincent Price, like, I know that's going to be a popular video. Like, that'll be a good thing to do. But it almost feels too easy. And I almost feel like I got to build up to that. Like, I don't know. Like, Vincent Price means so much to me. I haven't considered how to properly give him his due. I thought about doing a review series on the Poe films, which would be great fun for me because I love those films. I'm not sure how many people would be interested. So I was thinking about just testing the waters and putting out a Fall of the House of Usher review and see how people like it. Which, you know, when I talk about numbers and such, it's not like I'm doing it all for the numbers, but I want to make videos you guys enjoy, you know, because if I'm making these videos that you guys aren't into, it's just an exercise in narcissism, you know, it's just for myself. And I want to make things that you guys like. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, 14 degrees. That's about how it is here. Yeah, I think maybe a little bit colder, but yeah. Yeah, so original Dark Shadows show. My dad was obsessed with that show growing up. It was like his biggest thing. Like every day home from school, he would rush home and watch Dark Shadows. So he's a huge Dark Shadows fan. I got a lot of my classic horror fandom from my dad, so I give him a ton of credit. So I grew up with some of it, but like it's a show where like if you're actually going to watch all of it, you have to be extremely dedicated because there's so much of it. It's huge. But I grew up with enough of it that I'm pretty familiar with it. You know, I loved Barnabas Collins as a kid. I desperately wanted a couple of things. I wanted a Hammer Dracula figure, Christopher Lee Dracula action figure, and I wanted a Barnabas Collins action figure. And they didn't exist at the time. I now have my Christopher Lee Dracula figure from NECA, but I don't know if there still is a Barnabas Collins figure. But I always loved his look. I thought he was so cool. And as I think 2 years ago, I checked out House of Dark Shadows, the movie, for the first time. Absolutely loved it. Such a great movie. And that's kind of like a quick little summary of the first season or two or so of Dark Shadows. And it's great fun. I actually do like the Johnny Depp movie too. Some people think it's too comedic. I don't think it quite hits that. I think like it does work as a legitimate gothic romance film, and I really enjoy it. But yeah, I just can't watch all of Dark Shadows because it's just like impossible at this point in my life. Like maybe when I'm retired, but I'm familiar enough with it and I like it. Thought your last video when I knew you were sick, then you were on the mend. Oh boy. That's the thing. Like I wasn't really that sick. Like I've just been congested for like weeks, and I was just a little more congested that day, but I'm not like suffering or anything like that. And that's why like I'm not putting the channel on hold because I'm not like that sick. Just I think the cold weather's got me down. I'm just a little stuffed up. Deb, congrats on video. Thank you so much, Deb. I really appreciate it. Michelle, another very familiar face around here. Thank you so much, Michelle. Yeah, silver play button. It's hard to believe that that's kind of a possibility, but it's kind of a possibility, which is wild. Thank you. I really appreciate you. Productions were low, so they couldn't cut prop hands and shots. Actors slipped their lines. Oh, I think you're talking about Dark Shadows. Sure. Yeah. And like it's all one take and like sort of live, I think. How are you introducing a Hammer horror? My uncle got me into it when I was a kid. You know what's funny is my dad did not introduce me to Hammer horror. Like he introduced me to Dark Shadows and Universal Monsters, but he was never like a Hammer person. I found them on TV myself. For a couple of years, my parents had Dish Network. So we had Dish TV only for like a couple years because they got some good deal on it. And for most of our lives, we couldn't really afford that kind of thing. We had it for a couple of years, and I found them on TV and I recorded them onto VHS tape. And it was just three. It was Horror of Dracula, Curse of Frankenstein, and Curse of the Werewolf. That was it. As far as I knew, that's the only Hammer films that existed. And I recorded them on VHS tape and watched them over and over again, especially Horror of Dracula. Like, you know, I loved all of them, but like Horror of Dracula was a way higher level for me as a kid. It was my absolute favorite. In fact, Curse of the Werewolf was like a little too romantic and sexual for me as a kid, where like I wasn't like totally into it. But now as an adult, like I get everything, and I love Curse of the Werewolf. But anyway, yeah, so I found them and just super fell in love with them. And then it was like early adulthood where I was like, well, what are there other movies like this? And I like looked into it, and I just was like buying DVDs, or like I subscribed to Netflix DVD so I could get some sent to me. And I was just like consuming all the Hammer I could. And I even bought a region free Blu-ray player specifically so I could buy British Blu-rays of Hammer films. And then like right after I bought that, Scream Factory started putting out Hammer films. Warner Archives started putting out Hammer films. And now the floodgates are open and there's tons of US Hammer films on Blu-ray. But when I was getting into them, they didn't exist in America. You could only get them in the UK. So it's kind of interesting. They're way more available now than even like 5 to 7 years ago. And like, they're way more discussed now than then. Like my first serious thing I did on the internet was I hosted a podcast also called Cobwebs, specifically so I could talk about Hammer films because no one was talking about them. It really felt like I was on such an island and like no one cared about these movies. But now way more people talk about them, which is great. They're much more in the zeitgeist. Hanzo, hey man, love your channel. At what age do you start showing your kids spooky or scary movies? I'm about to have my first kid. I mean, I've kind of started like now, to be honest. My kid is super into spooky stuff. Like I take him into Spirit Halloween, and like honestly, like if he can handle Spirit Halloween, he can handle a lot of movies. Because there's a lot of scary stuff in there, and he loves Spirit Halloween. He's a little freaked out by the Art the Clown animatronic the first time, but he got used to it. But yeah, like we showed him Beetlejuice, although he didn't, pay attention to a ton of it. We've watched Casper with him. I've put on the Universal monsters for him, but he's only interested when the monsters are on screen. Otherwise, he doesn't care. By the way, he's almost 2. I haven't even said his age. He's almost 2. But as long as like Frankenstein or the Wolfman on screen, he's all about it. As soon as they leave, he doesn't care anymore. He's the same way when I try to show him like the original Spider-Man movie. Only cares when Spider-Man's on screen. Does not care when it's Peter Parker. So yeah, I started showing some spooky stuff. He has a lot of Halloween picture books that like I read to him and such, and he likes spooky stuff, but you never know what the kid's gonna be cool with and what they're not. Chase, congrats on it. Thank you so much, man. Chase is a great dude. By the way, Chase, I was just referring someone to you because somebody asked me what is a great TV. What's like the best TV for watching 4K on it? That's not my area of expertise at all. So I said, maybe ask Chase. So if you want to like throw something in the chat, go for it. But I think you have a video on it as well. Drake channel. Do you know any of these films? 1977, Satan's Cheerleaders and Death Games. Satan's Cheerleaders. I think I've heard of it. I've never seen it. I think there's a lot of movies called Death Games, and I think I've seen one of them. Let me see which one this is. Oh, I Googled Death Games and I got like top 17 best death games. No, I just want the movie, please. Have not seen this. No, I think like there's that one about that female baseball team that takes revenge on these guys. I have it from Vinegar Syndrome. I think it's called Death Game. I don't see it back there. I'm not sure. Maybe it's called something else, but no, I've not seen that. So thank you for throwing those out there. Dune. That is a thing. That is a thing. Thank you. Thank you. Nini Jellybean. I appreciate that. Regarding the bad seed, my father threatened me with a little pink electric chair for girls when I was younger. I'm guessing that's a bad seed thing. Thank you, Chi-Town Bud. Another very regular face around here. Thank you so much. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I need to watch it. Sometimes like I put off depressing movies, but I was kind of thinking about doing a video on like not 10, but like 5 just like bleak, depressing, disturbing movies because I generally avoid those kind of movies. And I thought, let me push myself. Maybe I'll just check out 5 and do a video on it. Like I checked out Angst, I talked about my serial killer video and I was able to handle that. So I was like, it's not like I'm like super sensitive or anything, but like, I'm just not like the extreme horror guy, or the extreme film guy. It's just not really my thing. But I was thinking about doing a video, something like that, and Elephant Man was like one of the inspirations for that. It would be on there for sure. Which Midsummer Today was creepy, classified as surrealist folklore. Have you seen it? Yes, I have seen it. It is on my folklore list. I have 2 folklore videos. So I have my top 20 of all time, and then I checked out more and I did like an extra 10. So I did that video like the next month or in a couple of months later. Midsummer's on my list. I wouldn't call it a surrealist for sure. I think it's pretty straightforward. But it is good for sure. When I saw it in theaters, I saw it when it first came out, I adored it. I thought it was phenomenal. I thought it was better than Hereditary. And then I watched it at home and I still really liked it, but I liked it less. And I do think Hereditary is better now. Because like I think like the relationship stuff is so interesting, and then the pagan folklore stuff is a little less interesting, kind of takes a back seat. So that's why I was a little less super into it, but I still think it's a very good movie. And the thing you got to give credit for Midsummer credit for, regardless of what you think, because there are a lot of people that hate it, which I don't totally understand. I don't know why you would hate that movie, but a lot of people do, because it's very well made. But it is really sparks conversations, and people like really discuss that film, and there is a lot to dig into. And I give the film a lot of credit for that. Like, it's a very good discussion piece. Elephant Man was too much to take in for me. I kind of understand. My slight fixation on elephantitis as a kid was because my parents told me all about the Elephant Man when I was a little kid, and it like freaked me out. So that's one reason like I've never watched the Elephant Man. I've always been like, I've like this childhood fear of it, which might be a terrible thing to admit, but I was a little kid. So what are you going to do? Yes, I know that. That's very interesting. It was produced by Mel Brooks. I think he also produced The Fly, David Cronenberg's The Fly. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he did. So he did some very interesting producing work in addition to his, wacky comedy stuff. That's a great question. I love that you asked that, Christian Lazo. What's your favorite type of special feature? I've actually been thinking about this a lot lately, and this might be like the nerdy answer, but to be honest with you, I think it's booklets. I love booklets. I've like fallen so much in love with them because like my favorite thing to do after I watch a movie is like pull out the booklet and read it. I like that even better than the special feature because I get to leave the TV and, I'm not still looking at a screen, and I get to maybe like even go to bed and, and just like read it before I go to sleep. I had so much fun with that with Congo. So I'm going to grab it actually. So I got the Vinegar Syndrome VSU for Congo, which I had never seen before. And I'd heard was like kind of a bad movie, but I wanted to see it. And, I was a subscriber at the time, so it was discounted. And I watched the movie. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun, but I'm a total mark for adventure films, which I kind of classify as a different subgenre, a different genre than action. I like action movies too, but I'm particularly a mark for adventure movies like Indiana Jones, the Brendan Fraser, The Mummy, National Treasure, Romancing the Stone. Like I love like a treasure hunting adventure film. I'm a big mark for that. And Congo is like go into the jungle, have this old fashioned adventure. It almost feels like, it could have been made like in the 1930s or something, like an old Tarzan movie. And I had a great time with it. And I loved this booklet. I haven't consumed any of the other special features, but the booklet just gave me a lot more context around the movie. And I thought it was really, really interesting. So yeah, super into booklets, but I like a making of doc for sure. The interviews, I'm not a big fan of, but I will like put them on like in the background while I'm doing other things sometimes. But a lot of boutique labels are kind of going all in on interviews lately. And I think because it's easy, because it's, they're like one take, they don't edit them, they don't do anything with them. So it's just kind of easy special features. And I kind of wish they put in a little bit more effort to like edit several interviews together into a making of doc. But I understand money is a thing, right? And sometimes they probably can't afford to put in that level of effort. And I can understand that. Have you ever been to LA and visited any of the famous horror locations, Bela Lugosi? I have been to LA a couple of times. I don't think I did any like location scouting. No, I didn't really do any location scouting, but I have been there and I really like LA. I really like visiting it. It's just that there's just so much movie culture all around. But the thing that I always want to do in LA that I've never had the chance to do is go to the New Beverly Theater. And look at that, you got Beverly in your name, so that's kind of ironic. The New Beverly Theater is owned by Quentin Tarantino, and he shows, he shows old film prints of old movies, does these themed double features. I want to go so bad. But the first time I went, I was with my family and none of them wanted to go, and just didn't get the chance. And the second time was when I went with my wife, and we were going to go, but it got closed for renovations. Unbelievable bad luck. So that's my great white whale, is going to LA and going to the New Beverly Theater. Yes, yeah, Dunderhead. I almost feel bad calling you Dunderhead, but that's your name. It's right there. Yeah, I will check it out. And thank you so much for the congratulations. Oh, Eraserhead. That's the other David Lynch movie that I like, that I was blanking on. His most famous movie. Isn't that hilarious? Eraserhead, super creepy, very, very cool movie. That's one that, like, the thought crossed my mind to do a video on it when David Lynch passed, because I think of all his movies, that's the one that fits on my channel the most. But that felt intimidating. I was like, man, do a video on Eraserhead? I'm sure like way smarter people have done that. That felt like an intimidating thing to do. Visit Bela Lugosi's place of death. His last apartment, still there to visit. Yeah, I haven't done that, so I'll have to put that on my list for next time I'm there. Of course, LA is going through a lot of terrible things right now, so I'm not sure when that's going to be. Hey, Variable, you checked out End of the Line and loved it. That is great. What other apocalypse movies, low budget ones, do you think are equally creepy? Ooh, I don't know if I can do that off the top of my head, because I don't think I've seen a lot of movies that are like End of the Line. I mean, obviously, if we're talking about like low budget apocalypse movies, the first thing that comes to mind is like zombie apocalypse. This is right. I mean, that's like the most obvious thing. And I think my favorite like modern zombie movie is Train to Busan, which is a South Korean movie. I'm sure everybody knows about Train to Busan. It's one of the more famous foreign horror films in recent years, but Train to Busan is amazing, very, very emotional. So that's the best thing that comes to my mind at the time, but it's certainly not equally creepy or scary, for sure. End of the Line is creepier and scarier. Yeah, Twin Peaks. I haven't seen the show. I'm not knowledgeable about TV shows. I fully admit that. One day I may have the time to watch a lot of TV shows, but that day is not today. Yeah, I'm sure. Hey, I'm not too young. I know a lot of very, very old pop culture, but no, I just haven't seen it. But I have seen the Psych episode that is a tribute to Twin Peaks, and I always loved that episode. Oh, okay. We have got a troll in here with inappropriate comments. I'm sorry about that, guys. I just got to them and I just saw them, so I just banned that person, so we're good. Mummy movies, absolutely. Have I considered them? I sure have. I put out something on my Patreon recently of like, what other, reviews would you like me to do, of like in-depth reviews of older films? And a couple of people mentioned the Hammer Mummy movies, and that will definitely happen. It's not going to happen now. I want to be careful about not putting too many Hammer videos like in too short a time, because I don't want to get boxed in to be like the Hammer channel, because I feel like that could be easy to happen. And I don't want like the YouTube algorithm to figure out, well, this is the Hammer channel and anything else he does is out of his niche and we'll just bury that. So I kind of want to be careful about that. So I'm not going to do it now, but I will do a series on the Hammer Mummy films. And I want to do like a top 10 mummy movies in general. I would love to do that, because mummy movies is something that I wasn't as into as a kid when I was into the Universal monsters, but now I love them. And like, I just adore the Karloff mummy movie from 33. I think it's like so underrated. You see it right there. I got a big poster of it right back there. Just love that movie. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. Oh, we got Chris Harrison. Indian Summer is a deep cut, and I loved it. I've been going through all your recommendations, and they're solid. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, Indian Summer is a really, really good movie. Very, very pleasant and enjoyable. Great cast. It's just a nice movie. Oh, hang on. I'll get back to you, host Joseph. But we got a super chat in here. I need to be better about looking for super chats. I'm so sorry. I should get to those first. But thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. $5 super chat. Have you ever done videos on the Full Moon Subspecies series, my absolute favorite vampire series? So not like dedicated, but I have talked about them some in my video on 90s vampire movies. And I put specifically Subspecies 3 pretty high on that list, because I've seen the first 3 Subspecies films only so far. And I think they get better as they go. Like they just keep improving. And I think 3 is the best. I thought 3 was like really, really good. Those, like, I think of all of the like gothic horror films I've seen that take place in modern day, those might be the best at retaining a very classic gothic atmosphere. Like they're really good at that. Very creepy vampire stuff. I've thought about even like maybe just doing a video on all of them or maybe doing a review series on them. But I really like those first 3 and I'm anxious to check out more of them. So I should do more of that. And we got another super chat in here, 10 pounds, which I believe is pretty much $10. So thank you so much, Johnny. Thank you. Well done, my man. All the best for 2025. Keep it up. I sure will. I sure will. And I appreciate that. Thank you both so much. Okay. I'm trying to find where I was at. Okay, Joseph. Thoughts on The Magic Christian with 60 star coming Peter Sellers, Ringo Starr? I've never heard of that. Very, very interesting. Christopher Lee plays a Dracula type, Raquel Welch and Yul Brynner in drag. This sounds like you did Mad Libs to come up with this. Bizarre. I'm going to have to look into that. Thank you for shouting that out. Got really into folklore because of you. That's awesome. Good, good. Yeah, all the Haunts BRs Volume 1. I think I've seen a little over half those movies, so I still have more movies to go through. But I've liked almost everything I've watched in that set. Almost everything has been solid. And I haven't bought Volume 2 yet because like it's just like really expensive. And I know I don't have the time to go through them like now. So I'll probably just wait until it goes on sale. But I've already seen watched a couple of movies like on streaming from Volume 2. November and The White Reindeer, which are both quite good, especially November, which I put on my like favorite discoveries of last year list. So Smile 2 and Nosferatu last week. I still haven't seen Smile 2. I've heard it's great. The thing is, like the first Smile, I was like, I thought it was fine. You know, it was fully competent, but not that exciting to me. But I've heard Smile 2 is better, and I do really like the lead actress, so I need to watch it. Subtitle foreign films would be a struggle or courtroom dramas. I don't know that I've ever seen a foreign language courtroom drama. Maybe the closest is like High and Low from Kurosawa. Not courtroom, but you know, it's a talkie drama. But I thought High and Low was great. But I don't know if I've ever seen a courtroom drama of foreign language. Oh, that's okay. You're never late. Thank you so much for dropping in, Mr. 3D Print Wizard. I appreciate you dropping by. Watched The Substance last week, and boy, it was good. Thank you for reviewing our top movies of 2024. Yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing is, I think I like that movie less than a lot of people, but not because a lot of people think it's like the greatest film of the last 10 years or something. Like it's gotten very high praise. I do think it's excellent. It's just like it's such a stimulus overload. Like it's so crazy that I was like, oh my gosh, this movie is insane. But it is like very, very well done. Very interesting social commentary, fantastic performances. So it's a very good movie. We got another super chat from Barnabas Collins, another one of my longtime supporters. Thank you so much, Barnabas. Hey, Daniel, congrats on 50K. You're killing it. I hope you're doing well. I am doing well. Thank you. Just a little bit of sinus stuff with the cold weather, but I'm doing just fine. I am horrifically low, like way down on the chat. There is so much happening. I may just have to skip down at a certain point. I don't know, but thank you all so much. Let's see. See, also your channel has become my go-to channel on horror. Your reviews are perfect. Well, that's not true, but I appreciate you saying so. Great with not sour films. The film that came out can be rude, rotten here. I don't know if I totally understand the last sentence, but I really appreciate the sentiment. So thank you very much. Warner Archives. Oh, okay, good. They did just start doing 4K. They did The Searchers on 4K, which I haven't bought because I'm just not a big 4K guy. And the more time that goes by, the more I think like maybe I'm just really not a 4K guy. Because my thing with like 4K is I don't deny that it's better. I'm just not sure that I really care about the level of improvement. Like I know it is an improvement in picture quality, but I don't know that it's an improvement in experience and like viewer experience. And I'm not sure that it really matters that much to me. So like you pretty much all the 4Ks I buy is because I don't own that movie and that's how it got released. So I bought it on 4K, but like I've upgraded almost nothing to 4K. And I have The Searchers on Blu-ray, but it's gotten really high praise. So that's a 4K upgrade I'm kind of tempted by, because I do love The Searchers. It is a fantastic movie. Take a look. Sweet Home is Japanese movie for survival horror games 1989. Okay, yeah, I haven't seen a lot of Japanese horror, so thanks for the recommendation. I need to see more. Heron, you enjoyed Werewolves 2024. Good. I liked it. I didn't think it was amazing, but I liked it. I definitely liked it better than the new Wolfman. That's for sure. Absolutely. I did not watch the X-Files. My dad was into it when I was a kid, but I never caught up with it myself. We got Tom 50K out of 10 free checks. Thank you, man. Thank you. I always wonder, are one of my videos going to get like a 9 out of 10 free checks? Hasn't happened. You're always throwing out 10 out of 10 free checks. So thanks, man. Thomas, another one of my very long time supporters. Thank you so much for dropping by from Germany. Thank you. Let's see. If you thought about doing celebrity interviews to add to your channel, actors or directors of the films, not necessarily celebrity interviews, because I will tell you one thing I've noticed: celebrity interviews are a very unpopular niche of YouTube. They really don't tend to do well at all. And my friends over the Splattercast channel have talked about this, because they used to do more, but now they started doing some where they'll do the interview, but then they'll intercut scenes of the interview into their review or something like that. And that works for them a little better. And I think that's pretty cool. Maybe if something comes up that really interests me, but it seems like people don't want to watch them on YouTube. Like, they get really, really low view numbers the vast majority of the time. Oh, that's awesome. You found the Dracula movies because you mentioned them. That's fantastic. Thank you. I appreciate that, Brian. Really do. And I see that Christopher Lee, man with the golden gun in the picture. Fantastic. United States government watched Breakdown of the Silent Partner and Looking for Mr. Goodbar. Enjoyed all of them. Edge of my seat watching Breakdown. Great. Yeah, those really are 3 of my top recommendations, like on this channel, especially those top 2. But then also Looking for Mr. Goodbar too. Excellent thrillers. Been really getting more into thrillers lately and super enjoying it. I heard about that. Yeah, that's very, very interesting. My buddy Chris at the Figure Out Films channel, a good buddy of mine, he was actually here for dinner tonight. He's very excited for that because he's a huge Godzilla guy, super into it. Garrett, nicest guy on YouTube. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. I actually just was on his channel last week. We did a super stream with a bunch of different people on gateway horror, and it was a lot of fun. So you guys can check that out after this. We got some more super chats I got to catch up with. $5 from Chase. Oh, you didn't have to do that, man, but thank you so much. Thanks for the inspiration. It pushed me to start my channel. You're the best in the business, man. Under 100K. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. I'm very honored that I got your channel started, because you have a fantastic channel. Oh my gosh, $15 from Judas Goat Barbecue. That is an awesome name. I love that. Thank you. Thank you very much. Congrats on 50K. Have you seen the 2015 movie, The Hollow? Great movie, more creepy than scary. Everybody hit the like button. I know exactly what you're talking about with The Hollow. So around 2015, circa 2015, well, really all through college, I worked at Family Video, the video store. And I remember getting The Hollow in, thinking the cover was really cool. And I believe I rented it. And for some reason, I don't remember why, I only saw part of it. So I need to go back and see the whole thing. I don't remember if I was bored and I turned it off. Because I think I'd be more likely to do that in those days. Probably less likely to do that today. Or if I got interrupted, I don't remember, but I need to catch up with it, because I do want to do another folk horror video, because I just freaking love folk horror, and I'm just always very excited about checking more out from that subgenre. And I'm sure I will watch The Hollow next time I do that. Oh my goodness. $20 from Michael V or Michael the Fifth. I'm not totally sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. You are the best. Love your channel. Would you consider doing a highlight of the popular Dark Shadow storylines? I can't. I'm just not knowledgeable enough, and I absolutely don't have the time to become knowledgeable enough. If I watch through Dark Shadows, this channel would stop, because I would have no time to do this channel and watch movies for this channel and everything. So unfortunately I can't, but I'm sure there are other channels that have probably done that and probably done a great job. So I bet you can find them. But thank you so much for the super chat. Let's see. Oh, wow. Own all the digital copies of Complete Dark Shadows on my 5th run through in the last 20 years. Amazing. Well done. Usually the only reason I watch TV shows is if my wife is into it, and it's like an excuse to hang out with my wife. That's my TV show watching. So we just started Severance season 2 We loved Severance season 1, and finally season 2 came out. We just started that last night. So we'll enjoy watching that. So like if my wife is into it, I'll watch it. So if you want me to watch any shows, you have to convince my wife, not me. I'm not in charge of the TV show watching. I'm in charge of the movie watching. I think I fell way behind, which is probably okay. It makes me sad that I'm probably not going to have time to get to all of these questions. I'm going to do my best. Let's see. I've never seen Dark City. That's one of those kind of classics that like I know I need to get to and I haven't yet. Horror on Spider Island from 1960. Bikini girls strand on an island. Their companion gets bitten by a spider and turns into a half man, half spider creature. That seems like a good contender for my next bonkers horror list, because I put out a video on like 10 bonkers horror movies. They were all first time watches for me. And that's my most popular video, I think, since the Halloween season. So people seem to really enjoy that. So I want to do another one. And I feel like I should put Horror on Spider Island on there. Thank you. And you would love a Corman series. Good. That's good to hear. I would really like to do it. Tomorrow's the big day. I'm not sure what you mean. The original Dark Shadows was great. Yeah. I mean, like my dad, huge fan. And I liked what I saw. And some of it really scared me when I was a kid, which was fun. Let's see. Check out Amicus non-anthology films. Yeah, I've seen some. Like I talked about why am I blanking on it? And now The Screaming starts. I talked about that recently. Really like that movie. I've seen The Skull, which I like less, but it's okay. The Skull, the great thing about The Skull is you get to see Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee play pool together. That's worth the price of admission right there. And I'm not sure and The Beast Must Die. I've seen The Beast Must Die, which I really did not like, unfortunately. I wish I liked it more. I think that's probably all of them. But if you have more non-anthology Amicus recommendations, definitely let me know. Let's see. I've not seen Pet, but I think that's another one I remember coming into Family Video. I'm pretty sure. He has, but it's kind of up to him, for the most part, but I don't remember exactly. Like he's in my video on the Uncanny, which you probably saw that. I think he's in my Dracula Prince of Darkness review, I think. But yeah, he pops up from time to time. It would be cool. I think he's maybe in like a thriller or two, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, definitely like Errol Flynn. Cobra and Cyborg. I'm kind of surprised Cobra's not on 4K, to be honest, but I think you're right. But yeah, classic canon movies. Big fan of both of them. Let's see. The vampire film, the segment film, the vampires all had buck teeth. You could almost say that that's maybe Vault of Horror. Maybe you're thinking of Vault of Horror. I'm not sure. They did. I think they did. Yeah. I wonder if that's out of print yet, because I do really like Indicator stuff. That's worth looking into. Let's see. I know you're a fan of Errol Flynn. Imagine horror. Oh yeah, Dracula werewolf. I think he would have to be the dashing leading man, against the monster. If he was a monster, I don't want it. I don't want to see it, to be honest with you. Like I want Errol Flynn to be the dashing hero against the monster. So that's where I'm at. Let's do a Hammer 101 collab. Help me, Daniel. Of course. I will always guest on your channel, man. You are the best. So yeah, you just let me know. Although on the last stream that we did, the Gateway Horror one, someone was like, man, every time Daniel's on a stream, he's always bringing out the Hammer films. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm sorry, but I kind of get asked about them. So it's not totally up to me. And like, I couldn't do that Gateway Horror video and not talk about Hammer. It was just so important to me as a kid. So hopefully your audience doesn't find it too annoying, but I would love to do it. Vampire Circus, that's an interesting first one. Oh, the watered down version. Yeah, because that's one of their dirtier movies by Hammer standards, at least. Vampire Circus is great. It's just so much fun. Go Kate Bush had a song called Hammer Horror. That's very interesting. I've not seen the Kolchak show. No, I think I've seen part of it. That's another one my dad was super into as a kid in the 70s. And I think I watched some of it with him as a kid, but I don't remember it super clearly. But I have seen the movie, so I've seen that at least. Yeah, good one. Good choice. That's actually a good choice because like the opening 10 minutes of that film is like a Hammer film in fast forward. And then like that's the prologue, and then it goes on with the rest of the movie. All Downs BRs, yeah, fantastic. Muppets Christmas Carol classic. Muppets Christmas Carol made a cameo in my video today on Satanic Rites and Dracula. I just had to do it. That's one of my favorite things in that video and in that movie. Business. Love it. So great. The group book of Witchcraft versus Dark Shadows. Interesting. I'm not sure about that. Okay, my all-time favorite silent movie is Faust. Have you watched it and what would you rate it? I've never seen it. I'm not very knowledgeable about silent film, which is why a lot of people say, like, do a list on your favorite silent horror films. And I haven't seen enough, so I would have to dive into it more. But I'm typically not the biggest silent film guy because I love dialogue. So sometimes it's a little hard for me to watch a movie without it. And I realize silent films do have dialogue, but you kind of know what I mean. It's different. But my favorite silent films are the comedies for sure, like the Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin. So I love that stuff, but I struggle a little bit more with the silent horror, except Nosferatu, which is my favorite. Oh, wait, we got another super chat. So this is a currency I'm not familiar with. It says 200, but I'm sure it's not $200. So I'm not sure how it translates, but whatever it is, thank you very, very much. I certainly appreciate the super chat and the kind words. Let's see. Have you bought the black and white NECA Nosferatu figure yet? No, I want it though. I do. It's so cool looking. NECA, I'm not like a figure collector, so sometimes it's hard for me to justify spending $30 just on an action figure. But I do want it, and I want the Lon Chaney Phantom of the Opera figure too. I think those both look so cool. Yeah, I've never seen Kramer versus Kramer. There's a lot of depressing movies that I haven't seen. Like, I've never seen Requiem for a Dream. A lot of the movies that have a reputation for being super depressing, I have not seen. I'm so behind. Thank you all so much. I got 149 people in here. You guys are the best. I'm probably going to have to start talking about my topics a little bit pretty soon. Do you ever just sit and look at your collection? I do it all the time. Yes, if my son is down here. Otherwise, I probably don't have the time to do that. But if I'm just entertaining my kid, he's down here, then yeah. What do you think of art cards? I think they come up with a different idea to fill the boxes. Yeah, I don't need the art cards. I'm a little bit, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of how much people fetishize the size of releases nowadays. Because like I heard somebody once, not somebody that I'm like buddies with, like somebody I don't really know, say on a video that just praising this one release for being super thick, but also crapping on booklets and saying like, I'm never going to read a single booklet. And I'm just like, why do you need these releases to be so thick if you're not going to read the booklets? The booklets are like almost the entire reason they are thick. So I don't know, like I don't need a bunch of stuff to fill up a box. That's not my thing with physical media really. So I like the thicker box stuff because it comes with a booklet. Like that's what I care about. And like the bigger cases are cool. Like I'm not going to say they're not, but like I don't need you to make it big and thick just so you can put in art cards because I really don't need those. And usually that just cranks up the price, and it's a higher price for stuff I don't even need. So I'm not a big fan of that. I need to see that. I have that on Blu-ray, and I've been meaning to see it for so long, and I still haven't. I really want to. Hello. Just popping in a quick second. Say I'm glad I discovered your channel. We appreciate your candor, enthusiasm. Off to watch the extras. My complete Wolfman DVD set. Great extras. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Yeah, Congo is fun. You know the thing that blew me away the most about Congo is oh gosh, whenever I go live, I blank out on everybody's name, but I want to shout out the actor who is so fantastic in Congo. If I wasn't live, I could tell you. It is Ernie Hudson, of course. Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters. Ernie Hudson is incredible in Congo. Like, I think is a legitimately phenomenal performance. He is so charismatic and like just dynamic. And I was like, I could watch 10 adventure movies in a row with Ernie Hudson's character as the lead. He like elevated that movie so much for me. Loved him. Thoughts on House on Haunted Hill, original versus remake? Yeah, I absolutely adore the original House on Haunted Hill. I grew up on it, big for me and my family when I was a kid, and I still absolutely love it to this day. It's so much fun. This Halloween, when I was handing out candy to trick-or-treaters, I put up an outdoor projector in the front yard, and I projected House on Haunted Hill. And it's just a perfect Halloween night vibe. And that was just playing on the screen when kids are coming up, to trick or treat. And we were hanging out with some friends in the front yard, and it was so much fun. So I just love that movie. I really like the remake too. I actually think it's very good. And I am planning one particular list video that it will be very appropriate for. So I probably will talk about it on the channel before too long. But yeah, I really enjoy the remake. Not as much as the original, but it's a worthy remake. It's one of those that are really good. Yes, Gary. Oh my gosh, I agree with this so much. I wish I could put on director's commentaries on my phone to listen to while I'm walking or driving. Sometimes I can find them like on YouTube. Sometimes people have uploaded commentaries on YouTube, which I don't know how ethical that is, but I already own it and I just want to listen to it on my commute because I have a fairly long commute to work. And sometimes I'll listen to commentaries that way, but yeah, that would be the better way to listen to it for me, like a podcast. You saw Clue Gallagher there every time you went. That's great. I love Clue Gallagher. I believe he just passed away. I'm like 99% sure. So may he rest in peace. But yeah, he's great. And that's super awesome. I want to go there so bad. I love the special effects on House on Haunted Hill. I think those William Castle movies, they feel like a haunted house attraction in October, they're not real, but they're charming exactly in that nostalgic way. And I just love it. I have not seen Macbeth. I think I haven't seen much Shakespeare at all, to be honest with you, which much to my brother's chagrin, because my brother is an English teacher, has a master's in English, is super into Shakespeare. And I just haven't seen that stuff. Except Much Ado About Nothing. I have seen that and I did enjoy it. I would have been interested in it. Yeah, Quentin Tarantino was talking for a long time about doing a Star Trek film. Excuse me. And I really I love Star Trek and I love Tarantino. And a lot of people are like, oh, do we want a Star Trek movie where everybody's dropping the F-bomb constantly and everybody's like a cool criminal and 70s music, blah, blah. I really don't think Tarantino would have done that because he is a legitimate fan of Star Trek. I think he would have used his talent to make a legitimate Star Trek film. I really think he would have. Would he be good at it? I don't know. I really don't. I don't know if that's in his wheelhouse, but I do think he's one of the most talented people in Hollywood today, by far. So I think he could have made something interesting and I would have liked to have seen it. I think they should be doing more with Star Trek movies today. I would love to see Star Trek 4 because I think the cast of those new Star Trek movies, Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Carl Urban, I think they're fantastic. And I would love to see a Star Trek 4, but I don't know if it's going to happen at this point. Yeah, it was. I looked it up. It was 10 months ago. I did my 10K stream. And then it was 6 months ago. I did my 20K stream. And I haven't done a specific subscriber celebration stream since then. And yeah, here we are, 50K. It's absolutely insane. So thank you. Oh, that's funny. You saw Argento's Inferno there at the New Beverly. I saw Argento's Inferno at the Mahoning Drive-In in Pennsylvania. And those two theaters are my two great white whales that I wanted to go to so bad. I wanted to go to the Mahoning Drive-In and New Beverly. And I went to the Mahoning Drive-In and I saw Argento's Inferno and Suspiria. And then they were going to play oh, where's my brain? Oh yeah, they were going to play opera third, and they did, but I was freezing cold and tired, and my wife was asleep in the car, and I was like, I think it's time to go. I'll just watch opera later, which I'd already seen opera, of course, but anyway. Let's see. The audience laughed all the way through it as if it was Plan 9 from outer space. Oh, I hate that kind of thing. Yeah, a lot of times, when you go to these rep screenings, people are just so fired up and they want to have a community experience. And their way to do that is to laugh. And they feel like they're just together with everybody. And a lot of times it's not super appropriate. I kind of understand why they do it, but sometimes it can be annoying. Yeah, totally understand that. Ooh, regarding New Beverly Theater, been there many times. Quentin also just bought the Vista Theater in Hollywood, a stunning 1923 movie theater in Sunset Boulevard. Oh, I forgot he bought that because I remember when that was going to be closing down. That's cool. Hey, Dusty, found your channel in September. Become one of my favorite cozy channels, Hot Chocolate and Cobwebs. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. I love to hear it. Uncle Lou, huge congrats, dude. Only found the channel a few months ago. Thoroughly enjoying it, especially the Hammer stuff. And your recent Witch movie compendium is great. Great. Thank you. I appreciate that. We got the review spot. Hello, hello. Oh, wait. We got one of my best friends in the world right here. His name's not Elric, but I won't reveal his name for privacy reasons. Seb is his son though. So Seb says congratulations. Look forward to 100K subs next. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you dropping by. Let's see. Thank you so much, Jim. Thank you, Lester and Valerie. Ooh, thinking of visiting the Vinegar Syndrome store location in Toronto. I didn't know they had one in Toronto. That's cool. I know they have one in, I believe it's Connecticut. It's right in the East Coast. Pretty sure it's Connecticut. This spring, I currently don't own anything by them. Oh, wow. Solid Blu-ray pick from them. Ooh, there's a lot. So if you're at all interested in Asian films, Burning Paradise is one of my top favorites. It's a you know what? Let me just grab a couple. Okay, three I'll go through real quick. So if you like Asian films, Burning Paradise is like a Hong Kong martial arts meets gothic horror kind of film. It's very, very cool. It's from the 90s. Just mentioned the Devonsville Terror, but it is a folk horror witch film from the 80s. It's really, really good. Very low budget, but doesn't really show. Like they do a lot with the money. And Primal Rage. This is a 4K release. This is an 80s teen college set horror movie. I really like college set horror films. And it's a rage virus movie. So it shows a baboon on the cover. You might think it's like a killer monkey movie. It's really not. It's just a baboon that kicks off this virus that spreads from people. And it's a rage virus, like 28 Days Later kind of thing. And it's very, very fun. And it takes place on Halloween. So you got Halloween costumes. You got people dressed in Halloween costumes raging out. And it's super, super fun. So those are off the top of my head. Those are three I'm going to throw out. And since it's here, I really did enjoy Congo. I thought it was a lot of fun. Hello, Joe. Thank you for dropping by. Yeah, I would love to visit the Vinegar Syndrome store, in Connecticut. I think they opened one in Colorado, which would be closer to me. But if I visited that one, I wouldn't be able to visit Garrett from Born to Be Rad. And if I went to the Connecticut one, I probably could. So that's a consideration. Let's see. Brett. Oh, third course, chicken. There was a variety interview with both Jamie Foxx and Cameron Diaz. Both said their favorite food was chicken. Well, chicken is a classic. How can you not love chicken? Oh, that's a great choice. First subtitle film was Pan's Labyrinth. I don't remember what my first subtitle film period was, but I do remember my first subtitled film in theaters, and it was The Raid 2. And I was sitting fairly up close, and the subtitles drove me insane because I really felt like I was having to look down at the subtitles, look up at their face, look down at the subtitles, look up at their face. And it was a terrible viewing experience because of that. And it was kind of like, man, subtitles are such a pain. But it was really just because it was a big screen in a theater and I was too up close. And it was just not a good way to watch it. Watching it at home is totally different. So that's just a random story. Let's see. Yeah, I hope so. Garrett is going to be coming to my neck of the woods in March, and I believe I will be able to come too, which will be really, really cool. Let's see. Not necessarily bad weather, it's just really cold. We did have a ton of snow recently, but it's mostly all thawed out by now because we got a few days of warmer weather, thawed out. Now we're back to freezing weather, but it hasn't snowed again. Yeah, I would really like to. I've never been to a convention. And I would certainly, if I go to one, I'll let you guys know. So hopefully I can meet up with some of you guys. Hunter. Oh, hello, Hunter. Thank you for dropping by. Pop in real quick. Say congratulations. Keep the great work. Thank you so much. And let me know when you release Tumbleweeds. I'm going to be looking out for that. Hello, Blue Lou. Hello, Jason. Yes, I have. The Nightwalker, William Castle. Unfortunately, one of my least favorite William Castle movies, and it's starring Barbara Stanwyck, who I love, but I just found it like really dull. Very little happens. I have the Scream Factory Blu-ray, so I haven't gotten rid of it because I imagine I'll give it a second chance one of these days because I want to love every William Castle movie, but it might be my least favorite William Castle I've seen, sadly enough. Alec, oh, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Amicus film. Yes, that's on my list. I've been wanting to check that out for a long time. One of these days, and maybe this will be the year, one of these days I want to do top 10 Jekyll and Hyde adaptations. And that will be on there. That'll be discussed for it. For sure. Watching for a couple years now. Thank you. That's way back for this channel. Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. It's very nice of you to say. Thank you, Derek. Let's see, looking for reviews late night with the devil. So in April, watch plenty of videos. Oh, okay. So you found me because of that video. Cool. That's awesome. I appreciate that. What's that logo on your hat? So it's what's it called? Odd Job. Yeah. Odd Job is a hat company that sells extra large hats because I have a very large head. And if you go to earlier videos on this channel, I'm wearing normal hats. And I always struggled with hats. Like, I like hats, I wanted to wear them, but like hats just always felt so tight on me. And like, I didn't even know there was like another option other than hats you buy in store. And then I went to the trouble of measuring my head, looked up hat sizes. I realized I am an extra large head. So I found oddjob.com that sells extra large hats, and I bought 3 of them and have them all now. And they are so much more comfortable and they look so much better on me than regular hats. So yeah, that's their logo right there. Mr. Goodbar, classic. Killer Shrews. Okay. I appreciate that recommendation as well, Tina. Start a petition for a series on Evil Dead videos. Interesting. Gosh, I almost worry that Evil Dead is so oversaturated that nobody wants to hear about Evil Dead anymore. I don't know, but if you get that petition going, maybe I'll consider it. Although I don't know if that would be good for me to do though, because I have a little bit of a hot take about the Evil Dead series. I absolutely love the original, and I'm less of a fan of the second one. And usually people are flipped. Everyone thinks Evil Dead 2 is the best. But like, I like Evil Dead when it's more serious. So I like that the first one is just straight up insane grindhouse horror. And I think it's like a perfect movie. And then Evil Dead 2 is so much more Three Stooges, and it's well done, but it's just less my thing. But then Evil Army of Darkness I love because it's just a straight up fantasy comedy. Like, it's almost a different thing. And then I love the remake because the remake is kind of back to just insane grindhouse horror, but like for the 2000s. And I think it's great. So like, I'm scared to do Evil Dead 2 video. I think people would be mad at me. Congratulations. Found your channel a few months ago as a classic Universal horror fan. It's a joy to sub to you. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, I've never seen Kronos. I don't think it is a Hammer film though. I don't think so, but I'm aware of it and I've not seen it. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I've seen the Night Stalker, the movie, but I haven't seen the Night Strangler, and I have it in the collection. So I need to check it out. Yeah, I must have forgot where we were at that point. What do you think about the new Hammer label? Oh yeah, they contacted me and asked me if I would review that 4K release, and they were offering to send me the digital copy of the 4K restoration. And I said, I'm not interested in that, but I would be interested in the physical release. Because honestly, I don't even know what the point is of like watching a digital copy of a 4K restoration, because like, it's not going to be 4K if you're streaming it. And I just don't care about that. So I said, I'll review the physical release. And they said yes. And they said they'd ship it out to me in January, but I haven't heard back from them. So I don't know. So they may ship it to me, but that's something that like, I'm happy to get from them and I'll review it if so, but I wouldn't buy it on my own because it's going to be really expensive. And I'm not the biggest Captain Kronos fan. It's not one of my favorite Hammer films. So I wouldn't buy it. But if they'll send it to me, I'll show it off to you guys and I'll review it. So we'll see how that goes. No, but I'm very aware of it. And Jeanette, another very regular face around here. Thank you for popping in. No, yeah, that's the film that inspired the Joker. So it's very infamous for that reason. But I haven't seen it. So thank you. One of these days, I'll dig deeper into Silence and I'll do a video on it, but I'm not sure when that's going to be, and I make no promises. Okay, cool. Yeah, I definitely need to see more Japanese films for sure. Like Misery, the Stephen King movie. Oh, I think that movie's a blast because it's so intense. I think it's really fun. So I don't find it depressing, even though, you know, what happens to James Caan in that movie is very sad, but you know, I don't find the movie depressing. Oh yeah, I just mentioned Captain Kronos. I'm scared to admit it, but that's one of the depressing movies I have put off my whole life because I'm just like, I don't really want to put myself through that. So I haven't seen that. I know it's terrible. No, only the first two that I talked about. However, I started drafting a list of another bonkers horror video, and I got one of those movies on there. So I'll at least watch one for that. $18. That's very generous. So thank you so much. Dracula Original Living Vampire. Stephanie, no, I have not. Interesting. I don't think I've heard of that. What is your favorite horror comedy? Yours is Dracula Dead and Loving It. I'll tell you right now, mine is Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. I think it's a masterpiece. I think it's the greatest horror comedy ever made. But there's a lot of good horror comedies. I like a lot of them. And one of these days I'll have to do a list on them. But yeah, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, absolutely at the top. Yeah, Phantom of the Opera, great moments for sure. I did find it kind of boring overall. I'm, sad to say. But it's, Lon Chaney is just incredible and it looks so cool for that reason. But my favorite Phantom of the Opera is the Hammer one. I really love the Hammer Phantom of the Opera. Another depressing movie I put off. I'm telling you, most of like the major classics I've never seen, they're probably super depressing, and that's probably the reason. Well, thank you so much for dropping by, Bonnie. I really, really appreciate you. I read that as John Mayer at first. I was like, John Mayer's in the chat? Oh man, my 16-year-old self would be going nuts over that. Let's see. Oh, have fun at work, Thomas. I'll see you. Threads. Oh yeah. That's one I've heard a lot about. I remember when that was like, I think I got a Blu-ray release. And a lot of people were talking about it. Yeah, sounds very, very depressing. New Beverly Theater is screening free films for fire evacuees. That's wonderful. That's great of them. I'm very happy to hear that. Yeah, Time Lord, very sad about that for sure. Me as well. Yes, love the Mahoning Drive-In. Yeah, my wife and I took a little vacation to Pennsylvania, and we went there twice. Went there for 2 nights. It was that Argento night I mentioned the first night, and the second night they showed Dirty Dancing, which was great. I hadn't seen Dirty Dancing in a long time, and I didn't really remember it that well, but I was like, this is a fantastic movie. I really enjoyed watching it outside on that screen. Definitely want to do that. Yeah, ranking on William Castle films. I have so many list videos in my head, and that's definitely one I want to do. We got my buddy Chris from Figure Out Films. Congrats on 50K subs, buddy. Need that Bill Skarsgård Nosferatu figure ASAP. Yes, I would love a Bill Skarsgård Nosferatu figure. I talked about Nosferatu a couple of times. Did a review for it. Showed up on my ranking of the year. And I feel like I did a lot of like defending the look, which is very controversial, based on like history and folklore and the book and stuff. But I feel like I didn't mention enough that I just think the look is just cool. Like I think he looks awesome. I love the mustache. I love the voice. So I'm all in on Bill Skarsgård, Count Orlok. He's awesome. I haven't. Those are a couple of other big horror classics that I haven't seen because I'm fairly new to Asian horror, but I'm getting into it. I'm getting into it now. There wasn't really like a reason I hadn't been watching them. Like I didn't like dislike Asian horror. I just hadn't watched them. And but now I'm starting to get into them. And I've more so like been starting with like the old ones, the old black and white ones. But I need to move up to like Ring and Grudge for sure. I've seen the American remakes, of course, but not the original. Well, thank you so much for dropping by, Josh Perry. I appreciate that. And I thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. And thanks for dropping by. Yes, Primal Rage is so fun. That's one that I watched on Shudder, and I was like flabbergasted by how good it was. I was not expecting it to be that good at all. And I was like, this movie is fantastic. And I was texting a buddy of mine who's a Vinegar Syndrome subscriber, and I was talking about like, this movie is so good. And he said, actually, I don't think we were texting. We were on a podcast together because he hosts a podcast and we we're talking about it. And he said, I watched that movie. Like, I liked it, but I don't need it. I'll just send it to you. And he just sent me this out of the goodness of his heart. So that's how I have it. So that's my buddy, Matt. So shout out to Matt. He's also a patron. He's just a great friend, great supporter. Most underrated horror movies. Boy, that'd be a heck of a list right there. I mean, I have a lot of like, videos on like underrated horror movies. I just compiled a list, almost finished compiling a list today of just some random underrated horror movies. And I think I'm just going to make a video out of it. Be kind of more of a chill video. Not a lot of research for me, just movies I've seen in the past, but I think it'll be fun. New Mexico. Well, cool. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah, thank you. That's awesome. Mike from Yonkers. Mike from Yonkers, New York. Okay, cool. Maybe not from. Oh no, you're not different person, not the New Mexico person. Sorry about that. I got confused. Oof. I mean, it's a plague. It's a plague. I'll tell you what, though, the plague and Satanic Rites of Dracula, I mean, they really drive home like it's the worst plague ever, ever, ever. And when the guy gets it, I'm like, yeah, I'm convinced. This seems like the worst plague I can imagine, other than the plague of Wolfmanism in the new Wolfman, of course. But, other than that, that'd just be such a hard list to make. That's the thing, because like it's impossible to define underrated. And I have noticed on YouTube that anytime you use the word underrated, people will tend to question it and be like, no, it's not. It's rated perfectly fine. Or people love that movie. But except I did one underrated list video and I gave it a qualifier and I said it has to have less than 10,000 views on Letterboxd. And then nobody questioned it. Everybody was cool with it. So sometimes you just got to set a parameter that people could just understand and get on board with. Wonder if you've seen The Manipulator from Mickey Rooney. Never heard of it. David Qualls. Never heard of it. That's very interesting. Seen a British horror comedy called Carry On Screaming. I don't think I have. No, that's interesting. Yeah, Tubi is great. Sometimes I've thought about just doing a video on like movies that are on Tubi. I know Ghost Pirate does that a lot, and I don't want to step on his toes, but I think he'd probably be cool with it. Excuse me, I just came out of nowhere. I think he'd probably be cool with it. Favorite horror comedy? Oh yeah, we talked about that one. Let's see. Oh, David Qualls, I agree with you on the Evil Dead. I like the more serious one better than the second, though I enjoy them all. Yeah, and that's the thing that like I don't necessarily have criticisms of Evil Dead 2. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's just not my preferred Evil Dead. And it's so similar to the first one that like it's hard not to just have a preference, like do you like this story more serious or more funny? And my answer is more serious. So that's just kind of how I feel. So yeah, my favorite is the original. And then honestly, my second favorite is the remake because again, it's like the original is just updated and I think it's great. And then Army of Darkness and then Evil Dead 2 and then Evil Dead Rise. And I didn't care for Evil Dead Rise that much. I thought it was okay. Yeah, I've seen all the Final Destination movies. I like the first one, probably I like the odd numbered ones. So 1, 3, 5, I think are great. I think 2 is okay. And I think 4 is like horrible. But I think they're making a new one this year, which is cool. Yes, it is. Yeah, Leslie Nielsen. You're very welcome, Michelle. Thank you for asking. Dog Soldiers. Dog Soldiers is the most infamous movie on my channel because I didn't put it on my top 15 werewolf movies video. And boy, did I hear about it for so long after I posted that video. Like I was getting constant comments of people upset that it wasn't on there. I've seen Dog Soldiers once. I didn't think it was that good. I wasn't that into it. I thought the werewolf designs were great. But the movie itself, I was like, this is okay. And I didn't rewatch it before making that video. So if I ever do an updated werewolf movies video list ranking video, which I might do because I've seen a lot since I made that video, like Howl would have easily been on that list, but I hadn't seen it at the time. I will rewatch Dog Soldiers for that. So that's my promise. Ooh, we got a question here I really want to address. I'm going to take a sip first. All right, here it is. Have you seen zombie movies? So this goes in with my first goal for the channel in 2025. This is going to be my year of zombies. That's not to say I'm going to totally focus on zombies this year or anything, but you may notice that for as many ranking lists, horror movie list videos I have on this channel, I don't have a single one on zombie movies. And I don't totally know how that happened, but I just never done it. So this year I want to put some emphasis on that. I have several zombie list videos that I want to do. And the first one is already filmed. So it's on top 10 vintage zombie films, which I'm qualifying as 70s and back. So top 10 zombie movies from the 1970s back to White Zombie, 1932, like the original first one. And it's a fun list because unlike vampires, what the vampire movie genre is really got set in like 1922 with Nosferatu. And like, that's what vampire movies are. And that stuck. But zombies went through a lot of evolution, and they took time to solidify what it really is. So when you look at that time period for zombies, it's actually really interesting because they're just very different and weird. So yeah, that video is already filmed. It's going to be coming out mid this week, so you can look forward to that. And then I'm going to give the 80s its own video, top 10 80s zombie movies, because the 80s I think is the greatest decade for zombie movies. Maybe not the greatest, but the most prolific of good stuff. Because my favorite zombie movie of all time came out in the 70s, but the 80s has amazing stuff. And then probably do a modern zombie list. And I'm thinking about, I'm pretty sure I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to do a review series on Lucio Fulci's Gates of Hell trilogy, because I put out a post on Patreon. I mentioned this earlier, asking for what reviews do you want to see, and I had 2 people ask for the Gates of Hell trilogy, and I was already thinking about it. I think I'm going to do it, and I'm not going to have to do any videos. I'm not going to have to review any movies I don't like, because I like all of those movies a lot. So I think I'm going to do that. So yeah, lots of zombie stuff is coming up. So I'm very, very excited. I've seen 2 zombie movies, Shaun of the Dead and the one with Woody Harrelson and Bill Murray. Oh, that's it? Shoot, you got to see some more for sure. Yeah, you're talking about Shaun of the Dead and Zombieland. Good stuff, but man, you go back, you see Dawn of the Dead, Plague of the Zombies, Night of the Living Dead. So many great zombie movies for sure. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. That's why I had you on that second werewolf list video I did to talk about Dog Soldiers. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give Dog Soldiers some praise on this channel, but I'm going to let Chase do it. So I had Chase guest on to talk about Dog Soldiers. I need to rewatch it for sure. And I don't know if he's still here, but I know Garrett with Born to Be Rad is with me on this, because he didn't put it on his werewolf list video either. And I saw he's hearing about it in the comments too. Dog Soldiers fans are intense, because on that video where Dog Soldiers didn't get talked about, I think literally hundreds of comments of people very upset about Dog Soldiers not being there. And then when I did that underrated werewolf movies, and I had guests on and Chase talked about Dog Soldiers, the Dog Soldiers people were still really intense, and they were just damn right, Dog Soldiers here, best werewolf movie ever. Yeah, it better be here. And I'm just geez, you people are really intense. They're really into Dog Soldiers. It's very interesting. It has a cult around it. It is a cult film. It has a legit cult around it, which is fascinating. Oh, At Earth's Core. I own that movie. I have it on Blu-ray, and I still haven't watched it. So that's on me. I got to check that out. Second favorite film genre besides horror, and do you have at least one genre that you don't care for? Yeah, I can totally answer this. I think my second favorite genre is adventure. Like I was mentioning, I love adventure films so much, like Indiana Jones, and I would put Star Wars in there. I think the Star Wars movies, those are adventure films. So I think the original Star Wars in 1977 is one of the greatest adventure films ever made. But then you throw the swashbucklers go in there, Robin Hood movies, Zorro movies. You could throw superhero movies kind of in there, and I love the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. I love that kind of vibe of just fun, kind of light movies with laughs and action and just swashbuckling adventure. I love films like that. But then I also really love I love comedies, and I love romantic comedies. I'm actually a big romantic comedy fan. I just wouldn't talk about it much on the channel because almost no one would care, and that's perfectly fine. Horror is a very interesting genre to dig into, and romantic comedies less so. They're just really fun to watch and just throw on and have a good time. So yeah, I would say rom-coms, adventure films. I love that kind of stuff. Those are just just turn your brain off and have fun kind of movies. But then genre I just don't care for. Here's two super specific genres that I don't like. One is musician biopic movies. Not a fan of musician biopics. Although I do want to see A Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan movie that just came out. I admit, I think that has a really good trailer. And I was I think I actually want to see this, even though I don't tend to care. Bohemian Rhapsody was one of my breaking points where I was I just don't like these movies. And then I saw Rocket Man, the Elton John movie, and I was objectively, this is good, but I still don't like it because it's a musician biopic movie and it's the same thing. I just feel they're always the same thing. It's somebody's a nobody, they rise to fame, they do a bunch of drugs, and then they get clean, and that's the movie. And it's that over and over again. Walk Hard, like sended them up very, very well. So I don't tend to be fun. Although I did like Elvis. I like the Baz Luhrmann Elvis because Baz Luhrmann is an insane filmmaker and he just made it a really crazy, interesting movie. And I thought Austin Butler was like just mind blowing in that movie. And I'm a big Elvis fan, so kind of a mark for it. But then my least favorite genre of all time, and it's super specific, is superhero villain movies. Talking about these movies that focus on superhero villains, Venom, Joker. I hate these movies and I never want to watch any of them ever again. So there you go. But as far as like the big main genres, is there one I don't like? No, there really isn't. Like I can find good stuff in any genre other than those like, super specific examples. Dawn of the Dead is my favorite movie of all time. It's a great choice. Great choice. I grew up being told Dawn of the Dead is not good because my dad did not like Dawn of the Dead. He saw it in theaters and came out and he thought it was terrible. I don't understand why. For years I've been telling him like, Dad, you need to rewatch Dawn of the Dead. Like you didn't get it in 1978. You need to give it another chance. But I was always told that it wasn't good. And then I saw it on my own. I was like, oh no, this is good. I like it, but I didn't love it. But I was like, yeah, this is a good movie. But then I got the chance to see it in a theater. And it was an amazing experience. Like it blew my mind. Like it was one of my favorite theater experiences ever was seeing Dawn of the Dead. So I'll just say it right now, it's my favorite zombie movie. I think Dawn of the Dead is incredible. I like Van Helsing. It is a cheesy, ridiculous 2000s adventure movie. And I think it's fun. I enjoy it. People say that, Chase. It's Predator with werewolves. It is technically in that it's about military guys and it's action, it's fighting them, but it is not near as well directed as Predator because Predator is directed by, I'm telling you, John McTiernan. I blank out of names when I go live. Directed by John McTiernan. He is an incredible director. It is so well made. And then Dog Soldier is directed by Neil Marshall. And I'll tell you right now, I don't like Neil Marshall. I have never seen a Neil Marshall movie and enjoyed it. And I think Dog Soldiers is really sloppily filmed and like directed. And like, so I haven't seen it in a long time, but I rewatched the beginning of it on streaming recently where I was like, well, let me just like refresh my memory a little bit on Dog Soldiers. I put it on for a bit. The opening scene is like a beat for beat ripoff of the opening of Bad Moon, which came out years before. And every single thing about it in Bad Moon is better. Like it is so much just more. The filmmaking is on a completely different level in Bad Moon than it is in Dog Soldiers. So I don't think it's as well made as Predator. The charisma of the actors is there's no comparison. I mean, Predator, you got Schwarzenegger. Who is that guy in Dog Soldiers? I don't remember his name. Didn't really pop for me when I saw it. But the werewolves are great. So I'm not going to say there's anything wrong with the werewolves in comparison to the Predator because the Predator is awesome, but the werewolves are great in Dog Soldiers too. But haven't seen it in a long time. So take us with a grain of salt. I need to watch it again, except for that opening scene, which I stand by is not good. And it's just Bad Moon, but worse. Yeah. A big takeaway from this stream. I need to watch more Fu Manchu films. Noir movie recognition. Those are the videos that made me find your channel. Yeah. My top 10 noir videos is my first video that like really popped on this channel, which shocked me because it's my worst quality video, technically speaking. The sound is terrible in that video, but it popped. So it sounds like you found it from that. So that's great. Yes. Weird Al. I saw that. It was very fun. It was very funny because it was just making fun of musician biopics. And I thought it was a blast. So I really enjoyed the Al Yankovic. Because like going into it, I didn't know it was gonna be like that. Like I thought it was like the Weird Al movie, and I watched it because my wife really likes Weird Al and she wanted to watch it. And I'm telling you, if she wants to watch something, we watch it because I like to watch stuff with her, but she doesn't like to watch a lot of stuff that I watch. Yeah, we watched it and it was like insanity, and it was so fun. I had a great time. Oh man, there's a scene where they're writing a song. I think it's the Baloney song. I don't remember exactly, but I was gut busting for like 5 minutes straight. Like it was one of the funniest things I had ever seen in my entire life. So yeah, high praise for that movie. Yeah, I should. That's another goal that we're kind of like working my goals for this channel. And I do want to do a little more non-horror stuff this year. Not a ton. So this is still going to be a horror channel. And I do want to make it clear that like I don't focus on horror because I feel like I have to or because I feel boxed in by the algorithm or something like that. I don't want anybody to think that because that's not true. I focus on horror because that's my favorite genre to watch, but also just to dive into and examine and like go through the history of. So like I like to study horror on a level that I don't study any other genre. Because like other genres I just watch and I have fun. But horror, like I almost feel like a student. And like I just love to dig into it and research and such. So that's why I focus on horror, because like that's my favorite stuff to really dig into in a meaningful way. But I do want to do a few more videos, list videos and such that aren't horror focused. Because honestly, anytime I do them, it does well and people like it. Like I did that video on canon movies, which only had a few horror movies on there. Super popular video. Like people really enjoyed it. So I don't feel boxed in by the algorithm necessarily. I think I can do non-horror videos. And I want to do a little bit more of it this year. So that's another goal. But don't unsubscribe if you're just a horror person, because it's still going to be mostly horror, because that's just me. I just can't help myself. Oh, you met Ken Foray? I'm forgetting his last name, but Scott, the guy who plays Ken Foray's friend in Dawn of the Dead, who dies in the bed. I met him at that screening that I saw Dawn of the Dead at, and I have a poster for Dawn of the Dead right up here, and he signed it, so it's signed by him up there. Oh yeah, his name is right there. I'm an idiot. Scott Reiner. Yes, that's his name. And yeah, he was very nice. He was very nice. Yeah, I heard it was good. And I think the trailer is like excellent. Like I saw the trailer before Nosferatu and I was like, wow, this looks like a really good movie. Like it looks fantastic visually, and like I love the cast. I'm actually not even a big Timothée Chalamet fan, but he seems like a really good choice for Bob Dylan. I was like, yeah, he kind of nailed it. And also I found out Boyd Holbrook plays Johnny Cash, and I kind of really like Boyd Holbrook. I think he's underrated. And that seems like a great choice for me. And I really want to see Boyd Holbrook as Johnny Cash. My least favorite genre is Fast and the Furious. Fave genre is anything with Minions, Pixar type stuff. That's interesting. I'm surprised that you're watching my channel if that's your thing. So that's very interesting. I actually like the Fast and Furious movies. They are total turn my brain off, dumb fun, but I think they're enjoyable. Well, the Paul Walker ones are good. When Paul Walker sadly passed away and the series kept going, I don't care about the series anymore, and I haven't liked them since. Yeah, you just get more. If you really want to learn about them, then the documentary is the better way to go, obviously, of course. Control. I haven't heard of that one. Actually, it just sprang to mind. You know what I think is my favorite musician biopic, the best one ever made, is one you wouldn't think of, but it is, and it's Amadeus, about Mozart. I saw Mozart not expecting. I saw Amadeus not expecting that much, and it just seemed like this Oscar-y movie, and it rocked my socks off. Like, holy cow, Amadeus is an amazing movie, and it's coming out on 4K next month, or maybe March, but I think it's next month, and that's one I want to buy. I want to watch Amadeus again. That's an incredible movie. So I'm going to say that's the best musician biopic. Oh man, Exorcist and Star Wars in theaters in the original release. That's incredible. That's a great story. Oh, interesting. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Oh, cool. Hammer Breakdowns got you watching. What was the werewolf movie that wasn't released or hard to find? Werewolf versus Godzilla. I mean, I'm not sure off the top of my head. If you have any other ideas, if you have any other way to describe that werewolf movie, let me know. Do you think the Friday the 13th lawsuit will ever get settled? We need the Friday the 13th movie to likely reach Unlucky 13. Man, I don't know. I am starting to wonder if somebody needs to like pass away for it to get over, which is certainly not to say like that should, don't get me wrong, but almost wondering like, are these people going to allow this to resolve while they're still alive? It seems so sad that they're not, because like you think you would want this to continue, because I would love to see another Friday the 13th movie, of course, and I would love for this to get resolved, but It's so odd. You know who's really knowledgeable about that situation is Christian over at Planet CHH. I think he has some videos about it and he's very up on that situation. I'm not super knowledgeable about it, but I know enough. And it's a bummer. It's a bummer. It's a bummer that Jason and Freddy are so irrelevant today. And like they are, because nothing is coming out with them. And with Jason, at least there's a reason. With Freddy, it's just kind of appalling that they're just not making any more Nightmare on Elm Street movies. When I saw It Chapter 1 in theaters, 2017, I believe, I thought, man, now is the time for a new Nightmare on Elm Street, because this felt a lot like a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. And I was like, especially with CGI today, like it just seems like a perfect time to make a new Nightmare on Elm Street. And that's not to say I want it to be a CGI fest, but I do think you could use CGI to enhance practical effects to make some pretty incredible nightmare sequences. But they're just not doing it. And I think the reason Freddy is not moving forward is they're afraid to recast. And I'll be honest with you, I just don't think they should be afraid to recast. I think they should. I think they should recast. I think it's okay. Cast an unknown, somebody who can just do a good scary performance. I think it'll be okay. Like imagine if after Bela Lugosi played Dracula, they were like, well, Lugosi is Dracula. We can never recast. Like, no, we got Christopher Lee in there and he was just as good, if not better. So like, I think you can do another Freddy. Anyway. What's your favorite boutique label? So if we're talking about just the history of ever, then Scream Factory, because I have the most from them. They're the first one I got into, and they have the most movies I love. But currently, they're are almost irrelevant for me. I buy almost nothing from Scream Factory now, which is okay, because I think Scream Factory's thing for the most part is they target newer collectors. And I used to be a newer collector, so I was super into them and it was great. But now they're kind of targeting like people who are starting with 4K and they don't have any of these movies and they haven't seen these movies. So they're getting into it and that's their target audience. And I think that's totally fine. I'm just not the Scream Factory person anymore. So now it's Vinegar Syndrome. Now I love Vinegar Syndrome, and they're releasing all the interesting stuff for me that my favorite thing with boutique labels is buying movies I've never seen and checking them out. And Vinegar Syndrome's great for that. But also Kino Lorber. I love Kino Lorber. So they're up there for me too. Yeah, I'm sorry, Chase. I feel like I let my mouth run a little bit. I didn't mean to disparage Dog Soldiers. I do need to give it another revisit. I will do that for you. And I'll be happy to eat my words if I like it a lot better. And yeah, it is a small budget for sure. So you're absolutely right. But I do stand by that. Like, I just don't think Neil Marshall is my guy, like, I just don't think he's matches my taste or something. Like anytime I watch a Neil Marshall movie, I'm just like, I just can't find a way into this. He's just not my guy. And that's okay. I don't have to love every director. Okay, yeah. Have you seen Count Dracula 1970 with Christopher Lee? Man, I'll tell you, I saw part of it when I was leading up to my top 15 Dracula movies list video. I thought, well, I want to see this. And I was so bored by it, I couldn't get through it. And that's me with Jess Franco. Talk about someone who's not my guy. Neil Marshall's not my guy. Jess Franco is not my guy either. Really struggle with his stuff. I, for the most part, just don't really like his movies. One Jess Franco I did kind of like I didn't love it, is Bloody Moon. It's just like a dumb slasher, and it kind of works. But most of his movies, they're just really dull. They have almost no plot. Now I like Christopher Lee in that, but everything else was so boring, and I was just really struggling with it. So one of these days, I will give it another shot and try to get through the whole thing. It also looked bad on streaming. It was just bad quality, and it's since been released on 4K. So, maybe I'll give it another revisit on another format, because I do really like how he looks, and I like the mustache. I like Mustache Dracula. Mustache Dracula is very controversial right now, but I like Mustache Dracula. Let's see. I love watching your channel. I don't really like horror movies, but I really look forward to hearing about these movies. Never heard of or come across the rare ones you mentioned and end up loving. Well, that's great. I like that. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I also like watching videos about movies that I'm not into, or I probably won't watch them, but it's interesting to learn about them. And that's generally the more extreme horror that I'm probably not going to mess with. but it's interesting to hear about them. So I totally understand that. And I'm glad that, glad you enjoy my channel like that. Great adventure movies are in that Hammer and Mill Creek, 20%, Pirates of Blood River, and Stranglers of Bombay. Okay, so I did not care for Stranglers of Bombay personally, but Pirates of Blood River is awesome. Like, you got Christopher Lee as a eye-patched pirate captain. You got Michael Ripper as his right-hand man, who's basically like Mr. Shmee from Peter Pan. It is such a good pirate adventure film. So yeah, big agree with you there. I think that's a great Hammer movie. Oh, that's great. Yeah, that Sherlock Holmes list was a lot of fun. And that's the cool thing about some of those list videos, is there's such evergreen content to where, like, when I released that video, it did not do near as well as I hoped it would. I kind of hope people would be more into it. It didn't get a lot of views, but it's a constant video, and like, people still check it out, and I still get comments on it, and it still gets views, unlike, some other more topical videos that get all the video views right away. So that's the cool thing about videos like that is, people still find them years later, which is cool. The girls in Van Helsing. I mean, yeah, very, very lovely women in Van Helsing for sure. Both horror and Minions movies. Well, good for you. I'm not big into the Minions movies, but I do love Pixar. In fact, I recently showed my son Finding Nemo, which I think is the best Pixar film personally. And he loves it. So we watched it a few times since then. And Finding Nemo is a masterpiece. My Letterboxd review of it was top 2 fish movies. Number 1, Jaws. Number 2, Finding Nemo. I stand by that. Yo, we got Eli. Thank you so much for dropping by, man. Big supporter of like me, but also just the physical media YouTubers in general. Like, he's always hopping on board to be Rad's live. So thank you so much, Eli, for being such a great supporter. Let's see. Trying to find a good question in here. Here we go. With the failure of the new Wolfman, do you think Universal's Dark Universe will ever happen? No. The truth is, what they're doing now really is their Dark Universe now. It is no longer like a connected universe or like an MCU kind of thing, because that was their original idea, is they're basically doing the Marvel universe, but with the classic monsters. And it didn't work out. Because The Mummy was horribly received. Whether or not you like it, I got some comments on my Wolfman video. Some people really like that movie. That's cool. I didn't like it personally, but overall, people did not like it, and it did not make money. And then Dracula Untold came out. Another one. People commented on my video. People liked that movie. Overall, it was not well received and did not make money. And I didn't really care for it either. I thought it was better than The Mummy, but still not that good. So I'm not a big fan of the monsters as action movies, and that tends to be how most people feel. So it didn't work. But then with The Invisible Man, they discovered that they could do like reimagined versions of these monsters, but make them horror, try to make them scary, and then it would work. And that's what they're doing now. So I do think that like this is their Dark Universe. This is it. It's just not connected, or it's not like the MCU. But I'm curious what the future of it will be now that the Wolfman is not getting good reviews. And I haven't checked the box office, but my theater was almost empty, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of interest in it. So I'm guessing it's not going to make a lot of money. So I'm curious how that's going to go. The interesting thing is the cool stuff with the Universal monsters right now is happening outside of Universal. Like, the greatest classic monster reboot really of the 2000s period, I think, is Robert Eggers' Nosferatu, which is not for Universal. And then Guillermo del Toro is doing a Frankenstein this year, which, wow, I'm so excited for that. That's probably my second most anticipated movie of the year. And I don't think that's for Universal either. I'm checking on it. Oh, it's Netflix. That's insane. It's Netflix. So yeah, that's not going to be Universal. So the most interesting classic monster stuff is not happening with Universal, which is fascinating. Yeah, I will say, like, Del Toro's Frankenstein, my second most anticipated movie of the year. My most anticipated movie of the year, I'm not 100% sure if it is going to come out this year, because I don't think it started filming, but it's supposed to. But it's James Wan's Call of Cthulhu. James Wan is supposedly adapting H.P. Lovecraft's Call of Cthulhu. And if that does come out this year, that is my most anticipated movie of the year, because I will be fascinated to see how the hell he adapts that. I really, really want to see that. So it could be 2026, but it's slated for 2025. So we shall see. Let's see. I'm scrolling down to the chat, bottom of the chat. And I'm going to scroll up for a little bit. Been doing watching your channel for 6 months now. Thoroughly enjoy your content. I was a film lecturer for 20 years. Oh, wow. Well, thank you. That's one of the things I am the most proud of about this channel is I have accumulated a very knowledgeable audience. And I can tell from the comments, you guys are really smart. And I'm not just blowing smoke. Like you guys know more than I do a lot of the times. And that's a point of pride for me that like you guys think I'm worthy to watch. I think that's very cool. And I appreciate that you guys, take the time to check out my vids. Funny thing, I've not watched Blade Trinity. I've of course seen Blade 1 and 2, but I've just heard Blade Trinity is so bad. I've just never gotten around to it. It also is the one with Dracula, but the actor who plays Dracula, I don't really like that casting, so I have not bothered to see it. Dead Heat from the 80s. I just bought the 4K from Vinegar Syndrome, actually, and I haven't watched it yet, but I'll 100% watch it before I make my 80s zombie movies video for sure. Yes, it was Universal. The Mummy with Tom Cruise was the official kickoff. Sorry, guys, I had to burp again. Was the official kickoff for the Dark Universe. That was it. And like they had the Dark Universe logo before it. They brought in Russell Crowe as Dr. Jekyll, and they had this whole like sequel setup thing with him where they're like setting up this universe. And the movie, in my opinion, I understand not everybody understands, not everybody agrees, was terrible. I think it's like really, really bad. So it like they scrapped the entire universe. And the funny thing is, though, I totally would have been down for them to sequelize that Mummy movie, but not focus on Tom Cruise, focus on Sofia Boutella as the Mummy. Because I actually think if you like made a sequel where Sofia Boutella's Mummy character was like the anti-hero, that could have been a really cool movie. I would watch that because she was the best part of that movie by far. She was the only thing about that movie that worked at all. And I would have watched that, but they just scrapped everything. So it is what it is. I agree. Yeah, not great. I was talking to a friend about it today, and he's like, "Oh, it's really bad, right?" And I said, "Well, it's not horrible. And there's not like anything you can point to where you're like, wow, what a horrible, terrible movie. It's just so thin and bland. And like, that's just the problem with it. It's just flat, and that's just the kind of movie that is the most likely to be forgotten, is what it is. The Poohniverse. You know what? I'll be honest with you. I didn't much care for Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. But I regret that I missed Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare in theaters. It was only in theaters Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night. That was it. Didn't even make it to the weekend. I don't really know why, but I missed it. And I regret it now because it kind of looks interesting and I kind of do want to see it. The Poohniverse is something that like I'm definitely not on board with, but my curiosity factor is certainly there. And I am curious to follow it. And plus, like, it's just, trashy exploitation horror that's actually in theaters. And I think that's a cool thing, but I missed Peter Pan. So that's a bummer. But when it hits streaming, I will check it out because I'm curious. They just got my curiosity. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it did do okay. And they did have that stinger at the end. And Dracula Untold, I don't think I actually did a podcast on it back in the day. Back when I was running the Cobwebs podcast, I did a podcast on it. And I just think it's kind of bland, and I just don't care for watching Dracula as an action hero, but it's not horrible. It's nowhere near as bad as The Mummy. Oh, wow. Thank you. I really appreciate that, Colin. And thank you for dropping by. Yeah, he sure does. And I know Christopher Lee was excited to do that movie because it was a little closer to the novel, which he didn't really get to do for Hammer. So I'm glad he got to do it. And yeah, I mean, the reason Count Orlok has a mustache in the original is because Transylvanian noblemen from that time period all had mustaches. Like that's just how they look. So, and you like, it's funny looking back that like, it's funny that I didn't expect Count Orlok to have a mustache because when I think about it, I'm like, well, Robert Eggers is obsessed with history. Like I've listened to him on interviews. He's way more interested in history than he is in movies. Like he's more of a history nut than he is a movie nut. So he's like, he's not Quentin Tarantino. He's like Quentin Tarantino for history, not for movies. So it makes sense that like he would stick to actual history, and like a Transylvanian nobleman from that era would have a big mustache. It just makes perfect sense. And he did in the novel. So looking back at it, I'm like, we couldn't not have a mustache. I can't believe I didn't think of that on my own. And I actually think it looked cool. I'm a pro mustache person. If I had good hair, which I obviously don't, and a good chin, I would have a mustache. But I don't. If you're a man, you gotta have good hair, you gotta have a good chin to rock a mustache, is I think. And I'm not that guy, but I think mustaches are cool. I don't know if that's true, but that's interesting if so. As a filmmaker, I mean, you know, he's not a director, but as like he's still kind of a filmmaker. I really like Tom Cruise. I think he makes a lot of great stuff. Thank you, Matt. Thank you so much for joining the channel. I appreciate that. I have got to watch Hush Hush, Sweet Charlotte. Been on my list for a long time. Got to check it out for sure. Scared you most when you were a boy? Yes, I have a whole video about that. I have a video on the top movies that scared me. It's on my top 9 movies that scared me. And it's earlier in my channel. And I really hammed it up. Like I was around a campfire and like I was telling you guys spooky stories. And I think it's a really fun video. So you can check that out. But I'll tell you that the number 1 is The Fly, the original The Fly, not the Cronenberg The Fly. The original Fly is the scariest movie I'd ever seen as a child. Thank you, Chase. I know we're good. I just felt a little bad in the morning. I hate bashing on movies that people like, but I don't know. Sometimes you got to do it. Interesting question, Colin. The honest answer is no, which I know is weird. Most people who talk about movies online, they have dreams of becoming filmmakers. They want to make movies. I'm not really that interested in it for a few reasons. Number 1, like I'm just interested in film as like a film historian. You know, I'm not so lofty to consider that I am a film historian, but like that's kind of my dream, that like I look at movies like a film historian. Like I would like to, like one day I would love to say my job is film historian. Like that's my dream. Because I love studying like the history of movies. I love looking back at the old movies, and I'm interested in what people make. I'm not that interested in what I would make, to be honest, because I think all I would do is like homages, because like maybe I'm not that creative. But also, I think the most important thing is I don't like the lifestyle you have to live if you are to make movies. You got to be very nomad-like. You're away from your family for a lot, away from home a lot. You have to work extremely long hours, and you have to be extremely dedicated to make movies. I've heard it said, and Chase could pipe in on this because he's made movies. I've heard it said that you should only make movies if you can't do anything else. If like it is you have it just in your gut, you've got to make movies, and then you will endure anything to make it. And I don't have that. I really, really don't. I don't want to be away from my family for a long time. My family is the most important thing in my life, and I want to be by them as much as I can. And I don't want to travel places to have to film for 16 hours a day. So I don't want to live the lifestyle, and I'm just interested in like digging through movies of the past. That's my favorite thing to do rather than make them. But I appreciate the question. Let's see. Blood Angel 2 has one good actor in it. Simon Cowell totally nails his character. I don't remember who he is. He's not the Is he the guy that plays Christopher Robin? Honestly, the acting in Blood and Honey 2 was not my problem with it. I mean, acting is fine. It's good enough for a slasher movie for sure. I don't know. I couldn't get over how dumb it is. And the fact that it has almost nothing to do with Winnie the Pooh. I'm just like, why are we doing this? It really just is a cash grab. You know, they're just using the Winnie the Pooh name, and like, it has like nothing to do with Winnie the Pooh at all. It's really a Dr. Moreau movie. Like they just ripped off the island of Dr. Moreau and just kind of made the animal creations have Winnie the Pooh names. And I think that takes away what's interesting about it, because I thought what was going to be interesting about it is you turned Winnie the Pooh into horror. But really, you just turned Dr. Moreau into horror, and Dr. Moreau was already horror, so we already had that. So I don't know. I was just like, and plus, like the kills, they're very violent, but they never had any impact to me. And I'm not totally sure what the secret sauce is, but like the Terrifier movies are super gory, but Damien Leone knows how to make them like have impact and gross you out and churn your stomach. And I didn't think Bloody Honey did that. I just felt it was like, just kind of flat for me. Yes, there is a Peter Pan horror movie. It is part of the Poohniverse. It's from the Winnie the Pooh people. And I've heard pretty good things. I gotta be honest, I've heard pretty good things, and it sounds interesting. If I had to choose American Werewolf in London or The Howling, easily an American Werewolf in London. I love American Werewolf in London. I think it is a 10 out of 10 movie. The Howling, I think, is good, but I don't love it as much as a lot of other people do. It's not a top werewolf movie for me, but it's certainly a good movie. But American Werewolf is an easy win for me. Yo, we got the bearded film guy in the house. Thank you so much, dude. Really, really appreciate it. And good luck to you with your podcast, by the way. I don't know if you saw the comment, because I don't know if you even looked at your YouTube account anymore, because I know you shut down your channel. But when you made that video about why you're quitting YouTube, I was listening to it and I was thinking, well, this guy should have a podcast. I mean, it just sounds like you would enjoy having a podcast way more. And then you said, and I'm launching a podcast. And I was like, perfect. You'll be a great podcast guy. You will have so much more fun with it, I think. So good luck to you. I don't know if you've released any episodes yet. Let me know if you have, but I'll have to look into it, because I'm sure you'll be very good at it. I think that's your thing. I think you'll be good at that. Let's see. Oh, it's the morning in the UK. Good morning to you. Living near Whitby, where Dracula sailed in the Demeter. Oh, that's so cool. That's awesome. I just love to hear that. I'm jealous for sure. My fave two films released the same weekend, 1982, both flopped: Blade Runner and The Thing. Yeah, great choices, by the way. Great choices for favorite movies. Grew up with Hammer on TV. Films this year are The Substance and Heretic. Yeah, I love Heretic. I was just talking to I had some friends over for dinner tonight, and the same friend I was talking to about what was it? What did I say? The other movie, Wolfman. We were talking about Heretic. He loved it too, and that movie is so good because, like, if you were at all interested in religion and you're just interested in the questions around it and thinking about how things would work, that's just a perfect movie for you, because it just digs into those things. And it's also just not disrespectful to anybody. I think if you are very religious or you're an atheist, it's not disrespectful to either of you. It's just asking questions and digging into things. And I think it's super interesting. So yeah, it's a very, very good movie. Well, I'll see you later, Ben. Thank you so much. Thank you for stopping by. Mind-blowing film, Don't Move 2024 on Netflix. Holy cow, I haven't heard of this, but I am very curious now. Maybe I've heard of this. Cool. Well, thank you for mentioning it. I might have to check that out. Thank you. Oh, well, look, I kind of mentioned it right there. Also, I'll just say I am a huge Hugh Grant fan. Absolutely love Hugh Grant. He's one of my favorite actors, and I thought he was incredible in it. Another good point. Yeah. You know who pulls off an incredible mustache? Brad Pitt. Great mustache. George Clooney pulls off great mustache. Yeah. Let's see. Best channel I discovered last year. Thank you so much. Rock band horror movies list. That would be fun. I would really enjoy that. Because, like, so Trick or Treat 86 got to be up there. Rockula is a favorite for me. I think it's super fun. But there's several that I need to see that I haven't seen. Like, I haven't seen Rocktober Blood. And there's another big one, Black Roses, I haven't seen. So there's actually a lot that I haven't seen, which makes me more excited to do it, because I get the most excited to do list videos when there's stuff I need to check out for the first time, because that's exciting to me. So I think I would really enjoy that. I'm going to put that on the back burner. I think it's a great idea. Yeah, you pretty much mentioned the same things that I did, for sure. Just very interesting. The conversations in that movie are fascinating. And there's legitimately creepy stuff, like the Prophet, not to spoil anything, but just the Prophet. So creepy. Really, really good. If I ever want to make a movie, I can't organize myself, let alone a group of people. Well, I actually do. I mean, at my job, I do have to organize people because I'm kind of a manager. But yeah, not doing anything as difficult as making a movie. Chase, if there's anything else you can do, do it. Feeling like you need to do it and having a story in you that you need to tell will drive you crazy, and it is hard. That's what I hear. That's what pretty much everybody says. And I am content, just like working a normal job, talking about movies on the side, being with my family as much as I can. Like, I am I am happy with a simple life, but one day I would love to just be a film historian, just talk about movies for a living. Like that's the dream. And who knows, maybe one day. Yeah, I really like Hugh Grant, Lair of the White Worm. Like you can see right away, like this guy's got it. He's got the charisma, and I really like that movie, and he is very good in it. And went on to be one of my favorite movie stars. Probably my favorite movies with him are Notting Hill and About a Boy. Like incredible movies, and he is just phenomenal in them. Him in Notting Hill, it's like the most charming performance like ever. Like he is so likable and just average and charming and just so good in that. I love that movie. Let's see. Oh, cool. You enjoyed Gretel and Hansel. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Very atmospheric, full core zombie movie. Very cool. Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't have a problem with the acting in Blood and Honey too. That was not the issue for me. Andy, thank you so much, Andy. I really appreciate you. I hope we'll be able to podcast together one day, even though Film Feast has bit the dust, which Film Feast was the podcast we used to podcast together on sometimes, and it has ended, but maybe on Schlock and Awe or something like that. Some would say, interesting about the Puniverse is those filmmakers, they're really befriending a lot of YouTubers, which I find interesting. And they're like really buddying up with people and really becoming like a part of the YouTube horror community. It's interesting. That's all I'm saying. Have you done a list on horror movie sequels that are better than the first? No, but one idea, I would like to do a review series on like top 10 horror part 2s, top 10 horror part 3s, stuff like that. So I do want to do some sequel lists. I think that would be fun. Let's see. Yeah, I think Hugh Grant is so smart, and he has made such smart decisions in the late stage of his career, because like a lot of people, a lot of leading men, when they get older, they will not let go of that leading man status. And that means they're in increasingly smaller movies, and like they go to direct to video stuff, just movies that will still keep, old guys in the leads. But Hugh Grant has decided to become a character actor and a supporting actor. And he is now like truly one of the greatest supporting actors in Hollywood now. Like anytime he pops up in anything, he's phenomenal. And it's made him like almost more successful than ever. Like not quite, but he's riding high right now. And I think it's really smart, and he's doing great. Besides the American Werewolf in London, what are the werewolf equivalents to like a Fright Night and the Lost Boys? Well, I mean, when you talk about 80s classics, the vampire ones are Fright Night and Lost Boys. The werewolf ones, American Werewolf and The Howling, for sure. So like, are you asking like what other 80s good werewolf movies are there? I mean, the first one I would point to is A Company of Wolves. I mean, it's nothing like Fright Night or The Lost Boys, but I'd say like that's my other favorite 80s werewolf movie. I think it's fantastic. Oh, and actually Silver Bullet for sure. Also with Corey Haim, like The Lost Boys. I love Silver Bullet. Yeah, I enjoyed Renfield. I didn't, completely love it. I don't think it works all the way across the board, but Nicolas Cage is great in it. Nicholas Hoult is great in it too. Actually, he reminds me a lot of Hugh Grant in that movie, which is funny because he got his acting start working opposite Hugh Grant in About a Boy. But I thought Renfield was fun for sure. It's a good movie. Watched Breakdown with my daddy, 67. And I knew he'd love it. Yeah, excellent movie. I don't know if my dad has seen that. I think I mentioned it to him and he wasn't sure. I would love to show that to my dad. You've seen Affliction, or you mentioned you want to check it out more. Schrader and Reviewing Hardcore. It's a wintry one too. Yes, that's one that I was watching. That's the vampire one with Lily Tomlin, I believe, right? I was watching it before my 90s vampire list, and I was not vibing with it. Got really tired of all of the pretentious monologuing from the characters, much like in Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things that we're talking about later. And I just knew it wasn't going to be on the list, and I knew I wasn't enjoying it. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to quit this. So feel bad about that, but I did quit Affliction. But I do want to check out more Schrader. And I did order. Oh, is it Paul Schrader? I'm pretty sure. No, it's Abel Ferrara. Never mind. I ordered Dangerous Game from Vinegar Syndrome. It's in my order that's on the way to me. And at first I was thinking it's a Paul Schrader movie, but no, it's an Abel Ferrara movie. So never mind. Let's see. Is there a quick story or comment about the radio speaker under the Mummy poster? I've been wondering what exactly that device is for a while. Yes, that is an antique radio. I don't remember exactly what decade it's from, but it is very old. And it's been in my family for many, many, many years. And through my entire childhood, it's been in the house, my parents' house. So it's just been a constant in my life. And then a few years ago, my dad said he was finally getting rid of it. And I was like, no, give it to me. Like, I would love to have it. So I took it. So it's very special to me for nostalgic reasons. I just think it's cool because it's an interesting antique. And it was a while into having it where I realized, that might look cool behind me in the video. So I put it back there and I love it. I just love how it looks back there. And it's antique media. And I just think that fits the vibe of Cobwebs. You know what's funny? That is my favorite David Fincher movie, Gone Girl. I know that's not a popular choice. Everybody's like, oh, Fight Club, Seven, Zodiac. I'll tell you, I'm not the biggest David Fincher guy. I have never had more fun watching a Fincher movie than I had watching Gone Girl. I thought it was so fun. It was so insane and over the top. I should talk about that movie in like a horror thriller video because that's got some horror vibes and gore in it. The scene between Rosamund Pike and Neil Patrick Harris is so insane. You will not see something like that in most horror movies, let alone thrillers. Super enjoy Gone Girl. Haven't seen it since the theater, but I had a wonderful time with it. Yeah, I would love to. That's Andy's Star Wars podcast, and I love Star Wars, so I would love to. Thank you. New sub. Love to invite you to my podcast. I found you via your haunted house movie. Phenomenal. Please. Oh, okay, cool. Let me know what your podcast is called. Thank you very much. We got KB Loves Movies. Thank you so much for dropping in, KB. Thank you. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I would love to come on the conversation. So you just let me know. I try to limit how many collabs I do per month because I have limited free time. And I want to still have time for this channel, but I don't think I have any lined up for February. So I think February would be a great time. So just let me know. Favorite Dr. Frankenstein, Peter Cushing, baby. There is no question. It is Peter Cushing, but I still like Colin Clive a lot. Foundational in that movie and important to my childhood. Love Colin Clive as Dr. Frankenstein. I actually think Kenneth Branagh was great. I didn't like Robert De Niro's Monster, but I thought Kenneth Branagh's Dr. Frankenstein was great. Really like the guy in Frankenstein, The True Story, the 70s TV movie. I don't remember his name. He's not very famous, I don't think. So I don't remember his name, but I thought he was really good. Let's see. James McAvoy, really good too in Victor Frankenstein, which is a very underrated movie. Victor Frankenstein is actually one of the most historic box office bombs ever. It is one of the worst box office bombs of all time. Almost nobody watched it, but it's good. It's a lot better than you would expect. And James McAvoy is really good in it. Yes, I talked about Lord of Misrule in my second full core video. It's like 10 full core movies you might not have seen. I think that's what it's called. And I talked about Lord of Misrule. I think it's good stuff. I like it. Where would you rank the first two Coffin Joe films in your favorite 60s horror films list? They would make my top 5. They did not make my list. I did my top 30 and they didn't make the top 30. But I love a lot of 60s horror movies, so that doesn't mean they're bad. I enjoyed them overall. I enjoyed the second one more. But I don't love them, but I like them. But they didn't make my list. Yep, that is a fun movie. Really enjoyed it. Hugh Grant was great in it. And that movie, the cast of that movie is like perfect for me because it's also got Chris Pine, and I'm just a big fan of Chris Pine. I think he's awesome. Paranormal Pod. That sounds cool. Yeah. If you have Instagram, send me a message over Instagram. I think that sounds fun. Yeah, absolutely adore Silver Bullet. It's so much fun. Company of Wolves is great. Eyes Without a Face is great. Really good. That did make my 60s horror list. That's a creepy movie. Yeah, really like Near Dark. Very thankful that I have that on Blu-ray because that Blu-ray is horrifically out of print. And I found it used just at a used store and picked it up. I'm so happy to have it. I'm starting to lose my voice and we're going over 2 hours, so I may have to wrap this up soon. But we still got 130 people in here, so thank you guys so much. Yeah, the only one of those I've seen is Rosemary's Baby. For obvious reasons, I have in my life been resistant to watch Roman Polanski movies. But at this point, I'm just like, I just need to check these movies out. So I do have The Tenet. I have it on 4K. I got it from Vinegar Syndrome, so I'll check it out. Repulsion, I need to watch as well. And I also recently bought The Ninth Gate, which I also really want to see. That just looks like a really good occult movie, and I'm definitely interested in that kind of stuff. Yeah, I haven't seen The Omen 3 yet. I have the box set of all the Omen films, but I've still only seen the first two and then the first Omen, but I need to see The Omen 3. Ooh, you got Werewolf vs. the Vampire Woman. Yes, it's very good. I really like it. And if you guys aren't aware, Vinegar Syndrome is just announced that they're putting out Curse of the Devil, which is funny because like 2 weeks before they announced that, I did my ranking of all Paul Naschy's werewolf movies. And I was talking about Curse of the Devil, and I was like, some boutique label's got to put this movie out, give it a nice edition because it's so deserving of it. It's a really good movie. And like 2 weeks later, Vinegar Syndrome announced it. So that's coming in the mail to me. I should get it in like 2 or 3 days. Very, very excited for it. So yeah, I love Paul Naschy, and Werewolf vs. the Vampire Woman is one of the best. Oh, I didn't know that. That's very interesting. With both vampire movies, have you seen Twilight and Batman vs. Dracula animated movie? Yes, I have seen both. You know what's funny about Twilight? People like to rag on Twilight, but the fact is, it's kind of a funny, campy, stupid movie. Because of Robert Pattinson. I think Robert Pattinson's performance in that movie is so hilariously insane. It's really like a Nick Cage kind of performance, like that it makes that movie pretty darn entertaining in a camp value way. So like I'm not exactly a Twilight hater, I gotta say, even though I've only seen the first two. I never saw any of the others. And as a kid, I super enjoyed Batman versus Dracula. I thought it was a great time. I haven't seen it since I was a kid. I just noticed we got a couple of super chats. Oh, we got a few. I'm sorry, guys. We got Frank. You were the best channel discovered last year. Oh, that's funny. I actually talked about this comment. I missed there's a super chat, but $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much. And $10 from Colin with no comments. But I know we have been talking back and forth for a while now. But thank you so much, Colin. Man, I appreciate you guys so much. You guys are the best. Yes, I have. Man, is that movie good? The Day the Earth Caught Fire, which is about so it kind of seems like it's a 50s sci-fi film. It's actually not. It's early 60s British film, I believe. And it's about these people, and they're living in a city. I think it's about some scientists or maybe a reporter, and they find out the Earth's temperature is rising. And I think it's because the sun moved a little closer, if I remember right. But the Earth's temperature is rising a bit, and it keeps rising. And they realize the Earth is not going to sustain much longer. Like it's going to last like months or something like that. And things are going to catch on fire, water's going to dry up, and everyone's going to die. And it is terrifying, and it is so intense and fascinating. It's such a great movie. So yeah, I need to work that into a list somewhere because I would love to talk about that movie more. It is excellent. So that's a great shout out. The Ninth Gate is really good. Yeah, I need to check it out. It sounds up my alley. Yeah, you know, there's a camp value there that we shouldn't discount. Oh, okay. I gotcha. Well, thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. David Jones, another very regular face around here. Thank you for dropping by. Thank you so much. I think, you know, I was going back and forth on whether I would say a subscriber goal, because I feel weird saying subscriber goals because I'm already at 50K and like I don't want to like act ungrateful about that. But the fact is about YouTube is if you're not growing, you're dying, which is sucks to say, but it's kind of how YouTube works. So you really have to grow, and I do want to grow more. And I think a good goal for 2025 is 75,000 subscribers. You know, if we hit 100K this year, I would be surprised because that's just the insane amount of growth in 1 year. And I don't think it's going to happen. But I think if we hit 75K this year, I think that'd be pretty amazing. I would be like over the moon about that. So I think that's my goal. So for whatever it's worth, I'm going to throw that out there. Cult of J, since you like slow burn movies, you ever seen Let's Scare Jessica to Death? Yes. I actually rewatched it before I made my 70s vampire movies list, and I didn't put it on there. I think because like I'm almost a little confused on how much of a vampire movie it really is. Like I'm not even sure I'm totally sure how to classify that movie, but it's good. It's interesting. It's very, I want to say it's dreamlike, but usually when people say that, they mean it doesn't make sense. And that's not the case. It makes sense. It's got a narrative, it's got characters, but it's just got this very dreamlike atmosphere that's very cool. And the whispering, the whisper narration, I think adds to that a lot. It's very creepy. I haven't seen The Good Son. That's one that I need to check out. Oh wow. Okay, I was thinking of Addiction, which is Abel Ferreira. So I was mixing up Abel Ferreira and Paul Schrader again. So I'm so sorry. Affliction, I'm not familiar with at all. So yeah, I need to check out more Paul Schrader movies. Maybe the only Paul Schrader movies that he directed, that is, that I've seen is Hardcore and First Reformed. That might be it, but they're both like mind-blowingly good movies. I think First Reformed is also amazing. Yeah, I definitely need to check out Demon Seed. Sell it and do a meme coin? Well, I don't think that's going to be a problem because I have no idea what a meme coin is. You know, I will say, sometimes I was just talking to my wife about this earlier today. Maybe I'll talk about this a little bit. I get these comments sometimes, people saying like, don't sell out. And it seems like what they're talking about is like changing the channel from focusing on like older films to just like review new releases. And I think people think that like that's a temptation to get like a really big channel. And the fact is that's not really true. The YouTube niche of reviewing a bunch of new releases is so oversaturated that it's actually extremely difficult to have a successful channel like that. It's really, really hard. Honestly, it's easier to have a successful channel talking about stuff that other people aren't talking about because you stand out more. So I just want to put people's minds at ease that like, no, this is not going to be just a review all the new releases channel. That's not attempted. The channel wouldn't do that well if I did that. But in this year, 2025, talking about my plans, I will continue to review the new movies that I am interested in, that I want to talk about. And the reason for that is not to get fame and fortune or to get a ton of views, because that's really not the way to do it. It's really just because I want to be part of the conversation. And like, if there is a new movie that comes out that like, I want to be a part of the conversation about this movie, I'll do a review on it. And it's really for that reason. So I don't want, like, when you see me review a new movie, I don't want people to think like, oh, don't sell out, don't become a dime a dozen channel. That's not it. It's just like, I want to be a part of talking about this movie, like Nosferatu, Terrifier 3, The Wolfman. I thought it was appropriate to talk about The Wolfman because I'm one of the biggest Wolfman fans on YouTube. I think probably I watched a lot of other Wolfman reviews recently, and like nobody's even mentioning the original The Wolfman. Like nobody's mentioning the original Wolfman. Nobody's mentioning the 2010 Wolfman. They're just talking about other Lee Winnell movies. And I'm like, you know what? I'm glad I reviewed that. I'm glad somebody is giving acknowledgement to the OG classic, So no, yeah. No worries about selling out is all I have to say. I don't need to get Stuckmanized anymore. Yeah, this is not going to become a Chris Stuckman channel, so don't worry about that. Thank you, Anthony. Yeah, have a good night. No, but I will very soon. I've got a video planned for very soon where I will watch them and talk about them. So yeah, I pre-ordered it. I got it right away, and I just haven't gotten to it yet. But I'm really looking forward to it. I hear they're great. Oh yeah, Messiah of Evil, absolutely. Yes, I talked about that video in my top 10 creepy small town horror movies. Because honestly, when I thought about doing a video on creepy small town horror, Messiah of Evil was the first movie I thought of. And I was like, gotta talk about Messiah of Evil. That's such a creepy small town. So yeah, I think it is good. It's not a top favorite for me, but it's definitely good and it's got great atmosphere. Thank you, Mr. Ralph. Certainly appreciate that. It's a cryptocurrency. Just joking. I've seen you grow over 2 years now. It's your channel. Do what feels right. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Oh, right. I have seen Cat People. I totally forgot about that one. So yeah, that's kind of weird that that's a Paul Schrader movie. It doesn't seem like that would be. But yeah, I've seen Cat People. I have the Blu-ray back there. I need to find a way to work the Cat People remake into a video because I would like to rewatch it and talk about it. I guess not. I'm not sure what that is off the top of my head, at least. So the answer is probably no. Okay, so we are right about at 2.5 hours. That's my longest stream ever. I'm pretty darn sure. Probably didn't get to all the questions, but I'll have to do another one of these. I do another like goal is I do want to do more live streams because it started to occur to me that I think it needs to be more of a priority because I think I need to connect with you guys directly more often because it helps me from worrying so much. Because like the thing with this channel is like with the list videos, I know exactly what I'm doing. I feel very confident about it. And those are successful videos. With everything else, I never know exactly what to do. And I never know like, what do people want to see? What should I be focusing on? You know, I put out a poll recently about that. Like, what kind of videos is your guys' favorite? So I want to prioritize, live streams more so I can just connect with you guys more and just kind of have firsthand knowledge. What are you guys interested in? What do you guys want me to talk about? Because, you know, ultimately I will talk about what I'm interested in, but there is so much that I'm interested in that it helps to narrow things down and know what I should be making videos about. So that's the thing. Oh, I just kind of want to read Chase's comment. I like to talk about whatever I like when it comes to movies, whether it be old or new, horror, adventure, rom-coms. Key is talk about stuff you're passionate about. I agree. Yeah. Which has been one struggle with the Dracula series because like I've talked about 3 movies now that I'm not passionate about, and it's kind of difficult, and I feel like I'm disappointing people. But I have ended up enjoying making all of those videos. They've all been fun videos to make. It's just not, I'm just not passionate about those movies. The Hammer Dracula series is still like in my top 2 horror franchises of all time, probably, but it's on the strength of those first 5 movies. That's where my passion is. Anyway, okay. Let's see. Yeah, Blood for Dracula is real good. Thank you so much, Mindful. Mindful is telling me not to worry so much, and I think that is very appropriate. So thank you so much, guys. I will talk to you soon, and look forward to my top 10 vintage zombie movies video coming mid this week. So I'll see you guys then.